shaded areas on the map
Yeah,
that you could toggle on and off. Actually, I really like that because it turned out it was actually easier to set up the vassal game than it was to set up the real game,
ah, interesting. I didn't
which
see
is
that. I just put them down and I looked in the book to see what the it said,
well,
set up within 3 hexes of this spot or that spot
yeah.
kind of a thing.
So as it happens, I recently just decided to do a purge.
Okay.
And so I sold 3 cartons full of games to Noble Knight,
Okay.
and that was one of the ones I sent.
Ah, okay.
So I don't have the setup anymore. And I was sitting there going, oh shit. Now that I don't have the setup, because the rules don't include the setup, it's a separate book. But there's a button on it's just next to the moved marker that says toggle setup. And if you toggle setup, it turns on and off blue and green shaded areas to tell you where each outfit sets up.
Huh. Okay.
Now, I don't know. Are you using 1.0?
Yes, I
Maybe
am
that was
using 1.0. Yeah.
well then I'm confused because it was turned on when I opened it. So I'm trying to figure out how you didn't see it.
Oh, it could I do see it, but it was because it was such a subtle color.
Oh,
I thought
funny.
it was just the map. I'm like, "Oh, okay.
How
Well,
funny.
okay."
No, so I mean, otherwise I would not have been able to set up because I just don't have
Well, you
the
can
things set up.
actually uh you can actually the setup is also available for free download.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I guess
Yeah.
I should have thought about the possibility of
Yeah.
looking there and seeing it as well. But anyway, no need because basically I just followed the. Now, the one thing I didn't get was were there any restrictions on how I set up within those areas? Like, was there one of those "thou shalt be unlimbered" or something like that? Because obviously
I
you wouldn't have.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything per se. Where let me grab my
Now you got me thinking I should go see if I can find the download.
uh, game starts at 8 a.m. turn. Victory is determined according to rule number 6. Before starting to play, weather is clear on the first turn. Players then determine number of available ACs for each army. Blah blah blah. So no, it does not specify anything about like guns have to set up limbered or unlimbered or anything
Okay,
like
all
that.
right.
So
So I mean, given that, I might make a few subtle changes, just to just because there's no reason for some of those guys to be, for example, unlimbered rather.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it depends on what it is that what you want to
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that um, generally speaking, I've got people more or less where I want them to be. I did
Yeah, yeah,
read
sure.
through the. Uh,
Yeah,
um,
I actually sent you a Discord message about some of my challenges reading the rules.
Well, and I read through them again last night. I read them,
Uh-huh.
when they first came out, and then I read them again.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's, one of the things that we talked about was okay, what exactly are heavy cavalry? Well, they identify what the heavy
yeah,
cavalry are, right? So they've got
yeah.
that. And then
Right.
what's the reaction charge business? At the time, there was no limit to how many reaction charges you could make. Well, now, once you're tired, you can't do a reaction charge.
Well, that's appropriate.
Yeah. And so that was actually one of the suggestions we had in our notes.
Yeah.
Um, and they did address the idea of you are in a stack and the top unit is eliminated. You've got to make a morale check. Um, And so that was one of the questions we had.
Right,
Let's
right,
see.
yeah,
Then they changed the whole thing with the assaults, where
yeah,
now if you successfully hold, that is, you successfully stand, the attacker
right,
takes a hit,
which,
and then if it's tied, if you roll an 8,
right,
then both people take a loss, but
right,
nobody moves anywhere. And then
right,
it's
right,
only if you fail then that you bug out. So they
right,
didn't make it so completely one-sided on the assault things. So
right,
that was good.
yeah,
And then they added a function if the guns um, are overrun or whatever else, you have a chance
yeah.
to
You could
roll for
limber
them
up,
to limber and get away.
right, right, which certainly, yeah. I mean, those are all. how, how did my friends who are math majors in school used to say? Necessary but not sufficient. Um, yeah. So I mean, there were definitely changes they made, and there were and those changes were good.
Yeah,
Whether they were really enough, I still question. And not only that, but oh my gosh, I mean, like I said, I sent you the message on Discord about just how it's still just god awful the language is.
yes,
Just sentences that could be construed in multiple different ways. And it's like, this is not your first draft, guys. And of course, they talk about this being the perils of English being a world language. That a great fraction of the people who speak it every day
right,
are not native speakers. And so, quite naturally, the version of English they're going to speak is international English,
right,
which is not the same as native English. And
yes,
unfortunately, that's who was writing this was Carl Paradis, who's French Canadian. So guess what? He learned English in school.
right,
And then Uwe, Swiss, guess what? Learned English in school. Neither one of them seems to be able to get from one end of a sentence to another without doing serious harm to my synapses.
right. Yeah.
So
Well,
so
and
we're
there's
still
actually,
left
yeah,
having to do some, well, I think what he wants to say, or is, well, actually a way that I can live with as interpreting this is this.
right.
It's just ugh. It bugs me. And part of the reason I sold it, to be clear, was just because I think I was just so exasperated that basically I'd been sold a playtest kit.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So,
I mean it. That was my feeling.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Is that
yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Physically, it was the best looking playtest kit ever. It was absolutely a playtest kit. The game had never really been rigorously tested and played by native English speakers.
Yeah,
Couldn't have been.
yeah,
There's just literally no way that anybody other than the designer's friends had ever played the game. And so I just said, you know what? Never mind. I was, I just was going to Noble. You know how it is. I mean, if you,
yeah.
I probably got more games than you do.
Well, and that was, I
Uh,
think, the frustration we had when we played this at Tempe.
yeah,
And we had version 1.3 of the rules,
right.
which were
And
the
so
ones that were the most current at the time.
we knew that we were playing with rules that were about to be superseded.
Right,
And
and which
so,
had superseded the ones that came in the box,
yeah. Oh, exactly.
which
Right.
pissed me off to no end because it was a beautiful rule booklet.
Ex-
I'm just like,
exactly.
I really feel bad. I want to throw this in the trash, but it's so nice
Right.
looking. But
But what's the
what's
point
the
of
point of
keeping
having
it?
it? Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like really the only reason to keep the original rules is just so you can sell it to a collector.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
is it
the
just like it came in the box?
yeah. Well, and from what I understand, that there's a fellow who is popping in from time to time on our Monday Moscow game,
Hmm.
who is involved a little bit more with the Sound of Drums company.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I think he's. Yeah, I think he might have helped a little bit with the Vassal module.
Okay.
And so I don't know that he's like, with the company as far as a
Yeah, yeah,
as a
not
not
formally.
formally,
Right.
but he's
Sure.
with them as a fan, in the same way
Yeah.
I'm with Marshall
Yeah.
Enterprises or Clash of Arms. I'm
And
somebody who helps
Flash,
them out.
right.
Yeah.
You
But
bet.
he says apparently that version 1.5 of the rules will be coming out sometime in 2025, and
Right.
they're planning on reprinting a whole bunch of, or printing a whole bunch of the rule books,
Oh,
um,
really?
and having those available for people who got the Eylau game, so then they can
Okay.
get the updated,
Right.
revamped rules kind of stuff.
Right.
So that
So that
seems
would
to
at
be,
least address that problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's a high class sort of approach. Good for them.
Yeah, and I think they need to do something. As we all commented, it's a lovely production,
Right.
and lovely game, and a lot of the stuff is really good. But then I think they really, kind of stepped on themselves there, with the rules.
I
Well,
think so.
let's take a poke of this. You've got it set up. I've got it set up. I'm just going to say to everybody who tuned in an hour ago, expecting to see us, the high school team that I coach, we had a competition today. And I'm here in California, so the time delay is different. And our fencers did very well, and so they wanted to go out and have hamburgers and beverages after the tournament, and so that's what pushed me back. Plus, Los Angeles traffic is always terrible, no matter what day it is. So I apologize for those of you who tuned in at an hour ago, expecting to see blood and guts spilled all over the map. But thank you for joining us now, and we're going to try to get this. So for Cohen, this is the Battles of Napoleon, Eylau, 1807. This is from Sound of Drums Games. It was released, I would say, what did it come out like May? I think it showed up in May of
That's
this
about
year.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so if you were overhearing a little bit of what Michael and I were talking about, the first set of rules that came out with it were a complete disaster. The ones that showed up in the box, and I think everybody realized pretty quickly that it was a mess because the designer, I think, got overwhelmed with emails questioning what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And so subsequently, they've come out with a number of rules updates. Michael and I tried playing this back at Tempe at the Concept Expo using version 1.4, excuse me, 1.3 rules, and had a thoroughly unhappy time with it. So now version 1.4 rules are out, and we had a break from our usual death and destruction at what battle are we at? We're at Zorndorf
Zorndorf.
with
Yeah.
the Battles of the Age of Reason. So we said, well, let's take a stab at this tonight. So that's why you're not seeing Zorndorf. You're seeing the snowy fields of Eylau instead of the very hot and dusty fields of Zorndorf this evening. Zorndorf should return next week at our usually, I think next week, right? Yeah, the 17th.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything preventing that.
Yeah,
Not aware of anything.
yeah. No, I should be around. I don't have anything like that. So, all right. So now what we need to do, I think, is to allocate orders. And I'm wondering, we got some interesting buttons here. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an
I was
interesting one. So I can
hoping. I was
change.
hoping that you've played with this a little more than I have because I'm actually struggling to figure out. Okay, I've having put orders on all my commands. How do I pay for them?
So, um,
I, s-
so for
I see all
me,
the
and you've
cues.
probably got something. So you see where the little bag is, the activation bag, uh,
Uh,
and there's like a little. So if you're up at the top and you go from the left towards the right,
yeah. Yeah, I see the activation bag.
Right.
Yes, I
And
do.
then you should see where it says French Army. That should be grayed out for you. Um,
Uh,
or maybe it
yes,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
No,
And
no,
then,
it is.
yeah. And
It
then there's
is.
the
Yeah.
Russian Army.
Yep.
And that's grayed out
Absolutely.
for me. So did you go
Right.
to
Right. Right.
Russian Army and that's where then you put in your orders for stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So now, but what I'm trying to figure out is I've got a certain amount of fatigue to pay.
Right.
I can't figure out how to pay it.
So I see on the order chart, I've got 210 points of fatigue
Yeah.
stuff. And you've probably got whatever you're supposed to start with.
220.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. Yep.
So we've got to figure out how to break that down and where to throw those
E-
little chits.
Exactly. And I'm concerned that it's some of these buttons up here that I'm finding a little ambiguous, like
Well, there's
on
one
the
here that says
toolbar.
common pool. So next to that Russian army
Yep.
one,
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
common pool, and right now
Which is empty.
the common pool is empty. So I
Which
guess
is
this is be where you would drop off your
okay.
stuff,
But if I do
presumably.
that, how do I make change?
Um,
These are all black cubes. They're all tens.
yeah, let's see.
I'm trying to figure out. So across the middle of the toolbar, there's a bunch of buttons. I'm trying to understand. So deactivate all units, remove all smoke, refresh cavalry, and remove all the AC back on the activation board. Now, I don't really know that any of those have anything to do with this, but I'm still trying to figure out, is there a button I click to actually pay for all these orders I put in there? Am I still required to do it? But if so, how? So you have not worked with this enough to know
I
the
have
answer.
not worked with it
Okay.
enough. So
All
let's
right. Well, that's
see.
perfectly okay.
So when I right click on one of my black cubes, it's got a send to the Russian force
Yeah.
pool, send to the French
Yep.
force pool, send to the
That's
common
right.
pool, delete
Yep.
or clone.
Right. And none
Um,
of those are breakdown into gray cubes.
yeah,
So
no.
I'm
So
still,
now,
and so I'm wondering if, like, maybe I need to put it in the common and then it'll work. So if I send,
so here's what you do, right? So over where it had so next to where it had the activation bag, there 1, 2, 3, 4 from the left. It says
yeah,
game counters.
yes,
If you click on admin,
yes.
and then um, you'll see the general, and then scroll down, and it's got AFP1, AFP10,
Oh,
right?
God. I guess just I did not process what AFP was trying to tell me.
Yeah. So this would be so. What I guess what you could do is take one and drag it out there, and then you
And
can
then
just clone the
clone
crap
it
out of it.
as many times as needed.
Yeah.
Okay. Seems like there was bound to be a better way of doing that. Okay.
Yeah, and I
All
guess
right.
that would be the way to. So, one,
Three, four, five,
two,
six, seven, eight,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9. Right. Okay.
Okay, I need to clone one more. Okay. So now I've got 10 over there. Okay, cool. All right, so then I need to now I have to go find the orders.
If yours is like mine, there's an attack counter up at the top.
Yep.
And what I just did is I just cloned it a bunch of times. And what I did for my own benefit is I just cloned it 6 times and then made one of each of them across the top.
Okay.
And the only reason I did that is because that way you can see at a glance all your different choices.
Right.
And then I just cloned it
Oh,
to
I
put them
see.
to put them in the order row for each of my formations. And of course, once you've placed one there, you can always change it just by right clicking it. So this is just kind of an initial setup thing.
Okay, I see. That's a good idea. Yeah, and then you could just clone it and do whatever you want with it then.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So yeah,
right.
I mean, it's a little tedious, but
Right.
once done, it should be pretty straightforward on any subsequent turns. If you need to change any of them, you just go
Right.
right click and you're done. But I like having the menu. I appreciate the menu is in the lower right. I just don't find it particularly easy to read. I find actually having the markers, arrayed across the top of the screen to be an easier way to read what's happening.
Right. With you mean with how the orders are, or with
So so all I'm saying is I wanted to have an example of each of the 7 order marker types
right?
just across the top where it says the Russian army.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Just so I can glance up and go, now what's the effect of that? Oh, that's right. That's right. Instead
Yeah.
of having to look at that table in the lower right, which to me is just not as easy to read.
Well, certainly on this in this one it's not, because um, the but I know at home, right, on the with the one at home, it would be a better one to have. I mean, if you were playing this physically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. To me, it was just as long as I could just clone them and just lay them out there as a menu to choose from, then that seemed nice.
Right.
And I am remembering as the Russian player, still being absolutely mind boggled that the order that the formations are in on my chart are backwards to the way they are on the field. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
formations on my right are on the left of the chart. The
Yeah.
formations on my right are on the left of the chart. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you do it that way?
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I mean, the ones we have, they they like third core and fourth core are over on the right side, but it's more or
Yeah.
less, it looks like, what's because they show up, later as reinforcements. So I would presume that for yours, you've got the Prussians, like, should be the last column, I would imagine,
Well,
over on the right.
and interestingly, the Prussians, of course, are the right hand column, but I
Right.
think the reason they're the right hand column is not because they show up on my right, but because they show up later.
Okay.
Whereas to me, I mean, it just would have made sense to me that the left wing formations would be on the left side of my chart, right? I mean, think about it. Think about
Yes.
it like you're the Russian.
Yeah.
Who's on your left? You should glance at the chart and it should just be there on the left, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how did somebody not see that? I don't know.
All right.
Well, I'm glad you didn't ask me how my weekend was.
How was your weekend? I'm not
I was
supposed to
glad
ask
you.
that.
I was glad you hadn't asked.
That
I
good, huh?
believe. I believe that the only productive, useful thing I got done the entire time is I changed the battery in my wife's car.
Well, that's
Now that
something.
took about 5 minutes. The problem is the 6 hours that it took to get the battery, the correct battery, and then to get the correct tools that actually worked in
Right.
order to replace the battery. I'm just I'm so angry I could just barely see straight.
Wow.
Just so frustrating to spend 6 hours to do a 5 minute job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I got that going for me.
that is frustrating. And it was just a case where it's in some sort of weird location that you had to get some sort of specialized tools to reach everything.
Well, what I just needed an extension for my socket set because the bolt I needed to undo was at the bottom of the battery. So of course,
Oh,
had to be able to get down there. So I went by, Harbor Freight and bought a set of extensions for a 3/8 inch socket or 3/8 inch drive. I get them home. None of my sockets fit them.
oh, wow. That's
And they're
brutal.
clearly the right size, right? I mean, there's only three sizes you ever
Right,
really see in real life. There's 1/4 inch, there's 3/8, there's 1/2, right? It it nearly fits,
right.
but it doesn't fit. I'm just like, and yet it's clearly not a half, right? It's not like it's the next size up. That would be obviously wrong. And and so I still never figured it out. So I ended up having to take another trip to a store to go buy another one. And then, and of course, this is my own damn fault. The one I buy is too short. So then I got to go back to the store, buy yet another one that's the correct length. And oh my gosh, just God, fit to be tied, as my dad would have said.
All right. Okay. I sent stuff to the common pool, but it didn't. I sent what I thought was. Well, I guess maybe they're stacked up.
It says the common pool has 30 in it now. What
Right.
did you send there?
I had my stuff all added up to 13
Yeah,
things,
13 fatigue.
13 fatigue points.
Right. And so that means that, and I spent 15. So that means the
15.
common pool should have 28 in it.
Right.
So there's, and I don't really know what the purpose of the common pool is in this sense. I mean, I know in the real game, of course, there's just whatever cubes are left.
Right.
But the fact that it's counting them makes me worried. Is there some added value to like having the correct amount there?
No, I don't think it matters.
I don't
I'm
know.
yeah. No, but I think what's
Um,
more important is, if you click that, yeah, the thing that's got the little count that's next to it, the AFP count, at least that
yeah.
is showing the correct amount. So I had 210 less 13. That's going to be 197.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I've got the correct amount. If you spent 15 on yours,
Right.
then you've got the correct count. So we're okay in that regards. So then now the question is, we got to figure out command points, right? So it
Don't we need
is
to
the
tally up initiative?
yes. I mean, so for me, my initiative thing added up to 26.
Mine was 28.
Okay, so I guess you have the initiative, which is terribly exciting.
Well, it's damn peculiar.
Well, it's because I've got a bunch of stuff that I didn't need to move. It just has hold orders like the guard and a bunch of
Uh
Marat's
huh.
cavalry. I'm just like, there's no point in me giving in an attack order or something like that when
Sure.
I have no
Sure.
place to move it to yet.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so the 8 o'clock turn, I've got 5 plus, I don't know. So now we have to figure out how many little cubes we put in the
Right.
in the bin, right?
Right.
So activation. Um, activation. How many?
In this phase, roll a die and apply the modifier indicated on the game turn record track. Add this result to the leadership rating of the army leader. That total is the number of ACs a player has available for this turn. So, what
Okay.
did you say that the
Yeah. So you have 4
five
and
for
I have
you, four
5.
for me?
Yep.
Okay, so
And
that's
then And then, yeah,
5
you
and
roll, and then
4.
I roll, and then we got Napoleon and Bennington to add to it, I guess.
And is Napoleon 6 and Bennington 4? I want to make sure I'm using the right,
Well, I think.
or
Well,
is
let's
it the
take a
other
look and
number?
see. So, so command points is the yellow box, and leadership rating is the circle,
Purple
purple
circle.
circle.
Okay, so initiative rating, but that's not for the command. Okay, right. Yeah, so command points. Okay. So, all right, so you got 5 plus 6.
Yeah, so I got
I've got
11, and
I've
then
got 4
whatever I
plus
roll, I
4.
guess.
That's 8. So you've got 11, I've got 8, and then we roll.
Yep,
All right, go ahead and roll.
here we go. So I got 6 plus my 11, so I guess I
11,
have
17
17.
all day. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, there's the story of the game right there. And I got 9. Uh, okay. And so,
All right, so now we have to figure out how to get them
so
in whatever the
do we just
bucket is.
clone these or what?
So cubes remaining. Are you cloning them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
I
drop
guess
the fire cubes in.
that's fine. Sure.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I should have, in theory,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. So I got 17. I'll drop them in the bucket. Oh. Okay, I guess I have to drop them in a nice, neat way.
And I think we were interacting with each other.
Oh, okay.
I
Stepping on each other.
Yeah. Although it does actually look like they kind of have to be on top of the bag count. So if you move a bunch of them and they're spread out, you may not really get all of them on the bag. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay, so
All right,
what we would
so
expect the answer to be is 17 plus 9 is 26 plus 2 is 28, and that's what it
that's
says
what it
is the number.
says. Hey, it's
So
like magic.
that's pretty good. I'm glad we got that figured out. What I will say is, boy, I tell you what, this game for sure either benefits from multiple monitors or something, because there's a lot of different things to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, and I think
And
what I'm
the
going to
physical game,
do
not that big a deal.
is, yeah, with the physical game, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my orders board off on my other monitor,
Uh-huh.
um, just so I can see it.
Yeah.
So that way, because yeah, that way then that should work fine.
Right.
And then, oops, I got to get it all the way over there. Okay. And then here where we've got the bag of goodies. Okay, so then now, why don't you go ahead
Uh,
and draw a cube? And
oh, hold on. I'm trying to remember. Did we do something wrong here?
I'm sure we have.
I'm thinking that the player of the initiative actually holds
Oh, yeah, yeah,
their,
yeah.
their first
You're
cube out
supposed
of the
to keep
bag,
one
right?
out. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I just grabbed one for you.
Oh, lucky you. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Well, it was a pretty good chance that
It was
one
a
would
1
be.
in 3 chance.
Exactly.
So still pretty good. All right. Oh, well, that's interesting. Really didn't expect to have initiative, so that's frustrating. But you know what? If that's the
Time to go on the attack.
if that's the worst frustration I get in this game, I'll be all right. Okay. And just looking to see that I've got everything figured out here.
Well, and remember, Michael, we're not playing to win. We're playing to figure out how the hell to play the game. So,
I understand that. I understand that. I just was looking back to figure out what orders I'd given and rather unexpectedly not reacting to you. That was just, that
oh,
was weird, right?
yeah.
I'm now having to go first was not what I was expecting to have happen. Okie doke. Well, yeah, I mean, what the hell. All right, so we'll go ahead and activate I guess so. I take the cube and actually put it on okay, so something did not work.
Oh, as far as moving it onto the,
Yeah.
um,
Okay, so, okay.
can you move it onto the board?
Well, I'm sorry. What I tried to do,
Right,
was just drag it onto my orders chart.
right.
Ooh, it worked that time.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so the problem was this. All of them were still selected. And so when I moved the one that you had pulled out,
Right.
all the rest of them came out too.
Oh, interesting.
So that's a little kind of weird. You'd kind of assume that once you drop it off in the bag, it's deselected, right?
Right.
But evidently not. So okay, so I put the right wing cavalry reserve first activation there.
Okay. And that
So
is these guys out here. Oh, can we flash stuff?
yep,
Yes.
looks
Okay.
like it. Yep, that's that crowd.
Cool, cool.
Right. All right. So let's see. So move order just means just move, I guess, right?
Yeah. So they have their
I mean,
regular movement.
here I am, Mr. Procedural. So of course I'm trying to think, is there something I'm supposed to be doing first? But I don't think there really is in this system, is there?
Um, no. So, I mean,
Uh,
you basically, so we don't have to roll for anything. You don't have to do anything.
right.
You just move one unit at a time.
And what is command range? Is it
Command range, I
is it
believe, is
3?
3 for division leaders. Let's see. Command range. Army leaders 12. Um, a division leader needs to be within 12 of the army leader, right?
Oh, that's to change
Division
orders.
leader. No, that's the change stuff. What's the range for division leaders?
Yeah. Um.
Is it
I,
listed somewhere else?
yeah. Where is the command range? Looking.
So
I mean, really, I'm.
The French corps leader has to be stacked with his division leader if he wants to use his initiative to do
Oh,
something.
right. Okay, that's fair.
Um, I had thought that the range was 3 for some reason.
Well, and it could easily be 3. I'm struggling with where does it talk about um, command radius or command and control at all.
Yeah.
Scrolling. Division leaders. Uh, um, orders phase. I wonder if it's in the orders phase. Command range.
Okay, here it is. A unit must be within 4 hexes of its divisional leader to be considered acting under the division's current orders. So that is item
Right.
number 12 under orders. So
Item number
so the command range is
12.
4 hexes.
Oh, boy. See, I did not. I did not expect to see that there.
Yeah, so but if starting an activation out of range and moving, it must do so with the intention to end its movement within range of the divisional commander.
Right.
Alternately, move the divisional commander in a way to make that unit within range at the end of the activation. A
Right.
unit that starts an activation outside the command's range can still participate in the simultaneous fire attack.
Right.
So I
Okay.
guess it would be the case. So, say, for example, one of those cavalry units was out of range and it's under an
Right.
attack order. That cavalry unit couldn't do an attack this impulse
Right.
because it was out of range. But when you're done with it and you're in range, then the next time you draw a cube, you could put it on that formation again, and then
Oh, yeah.
those guys could attack. Um, so they're
Right.
only out of
Because
range or out of command. It looks like, well,
if
for the
starting an
moment they're out of command. Yeah,
activation out of range, right? So
yeah,
that's really it. Command checking happens at the beginning of each individual activation, which makes total sense.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, then we'll see what we get going here. I guess we'll. I'm wondering, where did I see that? There was where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I thought there was yeah, I'm gonna see what happens if I do this.
Ooh.
Um, help me out.
So the
Slopes.
hill going up the hill is
It's
plus
+1
one.
both ways, isn't it?
Yep,
Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 there.
yep.
It's gonna
Five,
be five,
six.
6.
Well, for that guy, it's going to be 5, 6.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm planning on keeping them together, um, so I might do that because that would make him 5, 6, 6, 7,
Yeah.
and then the guy up there is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're done.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, we'll just call that good.
And now, did you
Yeah.
notice that his thing looks darker than the other
His
ones do? No, no, it's only because
his
I
trail.
clicked on him.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If I select him, it becomes darker.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you selecting him didn't make it darker to me.
Yeah, but it's darker when I'm looking at it. So
Fascinating.
when I click on that one, then
Yeah.
his trail
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
darker. And I guess it makes
Interesting.
sense because say they were crisscrossing, right? So instead of you
Yes,
moving them all uniformly,
that's right.
one went this way, one went that way. They switched around. They went higgly piggly. Um,
Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay. Well, that's kind of fun. So then, what do I need to do? Do they just stay forever, or do I need to toggle them
I
off? I
think you need to
get
toggle them off. Yeah.
interesting. Wow, that's a little not quite so lovely that way. But okay. Yeah, I actually like having movement trails.
Yeah. It's
And by the way, I
yeah.
think you can commit Control T is supposed to be able to make you do that as well. In fact, let me just try it again. I'm going to Control T him. Oh, that just turned him back on. For
Oh, okay.
oh,
Cool.
do you see it when
Yeah,
I do that?
I do see it.
Okay, interesting. So it's like all the trails are kept until I guess until we hit the marker to turn off all the movement
Here, I'm going to
markers.
turn off his
Maybe.
movement. Now go ahead and see if we have a trail for him.
Oh, okay. Um, no.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So as long as a unit is marked moved, then the trail remains interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
but now the trail is it forgot it. So
Right. Because it's been
now I put him
cleared.
down as marked moved, and then
Yeah.
it didn't
Yeah.
bring
And it
back it up
doesn't come
again.
back.
Yeah,
Of course it doesn't. Right.
yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
But
Interesting.
now I wonder if I hit the undo button.
You keep on doing. Yeah, you can keep on
Yeah,
doing,
and
can't
now
you?
let's see. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. So it's back. Interesting.
Cool.
All right. Well,
That's kind of
good. All
nice.
right. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is. I don't know. It's kind of nice because I find, depending on who you're playing against, that sometimes it's like, whoa, 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 slow down, slow down. What did you do there? Right? And it's nice to have the trails, and you go, oh yeah, okay, I see what you did. Right. Um, what was the other thing I was thinking about is, um, course, the way this one's written, I actually think more games should be like this. I kind of like this thing that stacking always applies. In other words, you can't pass through in a friendly unit
Yes,
and
yes.
exceed stacking.
Yeah,
That totally makes sense. I really don't understand why games let you do that. I mean, I think part of the reason they do it is just so you don't have to worry about the order you're moving stacks, so you don't get into analysis paralysis.
right.
But but it's also kind of unreasonable. It's like you couldn't have done that, right? You'd
Yeah,
have been running right through each other. It doesn't make any sense. So I almost prefer it when they say no, the stacking is the stacking. You're stuck.
yeah, 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 yeah. That was something
Okay.
that I noticed. So
Yeah.
cool.
So I think that's it for me. There's really not a whole lot else I
Okay,
needed
let's
to or
go
wanted to do.
back to the bucket and draw something out.
Okay.
So
All
that
right.
was your big initiative. So I'm going
Yeah.
to click on the I'm going to click on it, and it's a blue
Okay.
thing.
Okay. All right.
So let's see here. What am I going to do? I'm going to put it over on the my cavalry, those guys. So
Okay.
I so just so the people that are watching at home, this is what it looks like, and I put it here for first activation under the 4th Corps Cavalry. Um, so that's where that's at. I'm going to move that back to the other side of the thing. I'm going to close the little activation bag, and start to move people around and see what we can do. So I'm just gonna make some attacks and see how things go.
See what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what the heck not? I mean, so the
Sure.
whole point is to try out some different things here.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm gonna have so that's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't hit you yet. I'm gonna
You
have to wait.
can't attack this turn,
Yeah, one,
right?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay. So those guys are there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get these guys here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the guns 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. And we'll have them face that way. And then the leader, we'll go ahead and put him. We got a range of 4.
Oh,
So we'll move him there.
just a heads up,
What's that?
Eric. Well, I just turned on YouTube and
Yep.
took a look, and it's calling this Labatai to Moskva.
Oh, well, that is
That's tomorrow night,
interesting.
I
That is
assume.
tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah, just thought you want to know.
Oh, it's
Just
probably because I've got the I tried to specifically pick this one. Well, it's okay.
just
2,
wanted you
3,
to
4,
know
5,
for
6, 7.
tidiness sake.
Yeah, well, what I'll have to do is then recreate another one. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's see here. Yeah, you're right. It has it mislabeled.
Yeah. So no wonder your audience was so confused. This doesn't look like Moskva. Well, there are
It
Russians here, so
doesn't.
that's something,
There
right?
are.
Yeah.
I'm going to change it here.
Oh, in fact, Cohen Gillis even said might want to check the title once more.
Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Hitting the save button. All right.
And I see William Morenz is joining us from Kitchener,
Of
Ontario.
course.
Hello,
Yep.
William.
All right, so I changed the title. I'll have to change the description and everything else. So,
Right.
yeah, no,
Right.
thanks for pointing that out because I would have,
Yeah,
with
would have
everything
just been
else
up
going
there
on,
confusing people.
yeah, and the thing is, in OBS Studio, which is what I use for this,
Yeah.
when I went to select the broadcast, I specifically selected the broadcast with the title for Eylau
Huh.
1807, and I think it's because the YouTube, um, I had the same, like, I don't know what it's called. What is it called? Some sort of settings key or something for the live
Yeah.
stream.
Yeah.
I think it cloned it when I created the thing. And
Oh, I
so then
see.
it went and it found the key, and it was the same key that's
The thing
used
that
for the
matched,
Moskova
right?
key. And so
Yeah.
then it pulled
Yeah.
that one up instead of this other one. Oh, okay. That
And by
happens
the
from time to
way,
time.
it actually changed live on my screen. I wondered if I was going to have to reload my page, but it currently calls it by live stream Eylau 1807.
Yeah,
So
that's because
that's interesting.
I just edited it manually in on
I
my
know. I
YouTube
just wasn't
studio.
sure
Yeah.
if the browser would update automatically or if I'd have to reload the screen. But no, it did it automatically. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
All right. So
We're
you got,
learning all kinds of cool stuff.
hey man, this is never ending fun. So you got close, but no cigar.
No, close but no cigar. Back to the bag of
Back
goodies.
to the bag.
Why don't you go ahead and pull one and see what you get?
Yeah. Okay. So what do I do? Just grab the bag and pull?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess
Yeah,
that is
so
what I do.
so when you grab it and you click on it,
Yeah.
it has what looks like a little tiny baby bag, a little brown
Oh, I do
thing.
see that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
when you drop it, then it turns into whatever the cube
Then it
is. So it looks
turns
like
into
it's a
whatever the
Russian
cube is.
cube.
So it is another Russian cube.
It
Well,
is.
I'm getting them all out of the way.
Yeah.
It's just so disorienting not to be able to shoot. I mean, it's just super weird. I, I don't really have a problem with it exactly, but it is super weird.
With what not being able to shoot?
Just I can't activate the fifth division and shoot those guns at you,
Oh,
right? Because that's not how the game works. You
yeah.
don't get
Yeah,
to shoot
you
just
gotta wait
whenever
till
you
your little
want.
magical red thing is pulled.
Exactly, and that's weird,
Yeah.
right? It's not
Let's see.
bad,
Doug
but it's
says,
weird.
"Hey guys, this game looks like it might be fun to play solo." I think it does have a lot of potential for solo because you do have this sort of activation cube that you're drawing. So that does add some
Right.
what friction to it for kind of a thing.
I think
So
the place where you'd need to, jab something into your frontal lobe to allow you to think separately as the French and the Russians is actually setting the orders
yeah,
at the beginning of the turn, because that would be the sort of thing that each of us does in private. And actually, it's interesting the way it's set up in this vassal. I can't even check to see what you've done.
but you can if you click on the little button that looks like switching sides. It's like the
Yeah,
third one over.
yeah,
And it says your current status for me. It says is French,
yeah.
and then I can select to
Oh,
be an observer. Oh, if I'm observer now, I can't watch anything. So
ah,
okay,
see,
so let's see. Oh, then let's click on solo and see. So if I select solo, then now I can look at you.
you can see both.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
it's a little weird.
yeah,
On the
yeah.
one hand, I like the fact that each of us is able to place our orders in complete privacy, and you're sure that the other guy is doing it in his privacy. But it is a little funny because if we're playing face to face, I can look and say, oh yeah, he's already done two activations with that cavalry. So I know that the third one you're going to be slowed down even more, right? But I can't see that at all here
Yeah, I
because it's
think
grayed out.
I think that you would if you selected the solo
Right,
option,
then I could see it.
then you can see
Interesting.
what. So right now I can see that you've put one cube on the right wing
Sure. On the
cavalry.
right wing cavalry reserve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, you know what? Um, I mean, when I think about how much people get paid to put together vassal modules, usually nothing. Um, it's it's kind of hard to complain when it's a little weird. So it's not bad. All right. Now what am I going to do? Am I going to move these guys solar? I might. I might. Refresh my memory. It is -2 movement points for cavalry units on the second activation.
Yeah.
Which
So if you're looking
I.
at your chart, it says that there where the
Mhm.
second
Yep.
activation is. Yeah. So
Yep. That's
-1 for
good.
infantry and artillery,
That's
-2 for
good.
cavalry.
So
Yeah.
if I go ahead and do those guys, they're slowed down a little bit. Um, I see. Again, I don't think the rules really talk about this. That it's not really like it's a state secret. You should know what the order is, don't you? Don't we reveal them at the same time?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's meant to be. I kind of got because so when I was commuting earlier this week, I was reading through on Board Game Geek a bunch of questions and comments that people had posted about this, and so one of the comments was, "Well, is this supposed to be secret when we're placing orders? When do we reveal it? Whatever."
Right.
And so the general consensus was you place your orders and it's uh, to the best of your knowledge, don't go looking what the other guy's doing. And then
Yeah,
when you're
but
done, obviously, then you're like, well, okay, here's what my orders are. Kind of, I mean,
right.
you've got to be able to look at it and see what the other guy's has. Otherwise, he could fudge it and change his orders, kind of
Exactly.
a
And
thing.
that's not right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to do that. So interesting. So okay. How weird. Okay, well then I guess I will go ahead and put it back on this same outfit. I'm furiously trying to I'm still struggling. Two windows is not enough. So I've gone ahead and put a second activation on for the cavalry, the
Yep,
right wing
I see it.
cavalry
Yep.
reserve. Okay, because you've gone to solo.
Yeah,
That's
because
how
I've
you
gone to
see it.
solo. So I mean, and part of
Okay.
it is, obviously to see what you're doing, but also to show our viewing audience
Audience,
what
right,
the heck
right.
we're doing. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's good. Now I am a little frustrated because it looks like if I bring up the charts, where are the charts? There are the charts. Looks like the charts like somehow supersede the orders. No, it doesn't. It just pops up on top of the orders window. Um, okay, help me out. Just want to make sure I'm understanding um, the rules here.
Okay.
Cavalry and artillery can only enter a village or cemetery via a road.
Correct.
It's just one movement point, though.
Uh,
So that's weird.
yeah, I don't think you can actually be in. So they have this stuff that's called like um,
Obstructed
obstructed
terrain or something
terrain.
like that. Isn't that what they
Yeah.
call it? Yeah.
And
Um,
so,
may enter only via road. And then it says cavalry can't charge into.
yes.
And there's bad DRMs for defending in and bad DRMs for attacking out of. So really, they're just kind of a bad idea.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But you
all.
can, move through it.
Okay.
But I don't think you can end your movement in it. So the
Well, I don't
idea,
think I'd want to,
yeah,
but I'm not sure that I agree with you. I'm not convinced that there's a rule that actually says I can't. But there's enough definite good reasons not to that
yeah.
I'm not going to anyway. So take that. All right, so we'll just go ahead and start
Well,
moving
and of course,
again.
I could be thinking of the earlier rules, which basically made it
Yeah,
forbidden for you to
you
be there. So,
Das is
yeah.
verboten. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna. Interesting. Okay. So I'm doing. Whoa, no, 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 no. Stop. Just select one at a time here. One, two, three, four, five, six. Except he's only got five to spend.
Right, because
Probably the more
he's,
elegant thing
yeah.
to do would be do this and get rid of all that. Okay. Um, okay. Right. So let's see then. We'll just move other people then. So that's two because he's got to go down the slope.
Yeah.
Two, three, four. 5.
What's the so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah,
1, 2,
5.
3,
Yep,
4, 5 now. Yeah.
yep.
And 6, and he's okay. And now here's where I get into my frustration, because I hit control left arrow, nothing happens.
So here, let me try it. So I click and control. Is that what
Yeah.
you want? Yeah. So it's
Yeah, I
working
mean,
for me on my keyboard.
yeah. Yeah, that's really weird, isn't it?
So do you think there's a problem with your control key?
No, I mean, I use this machine all the time. I'm more ready to believe that because this is a Mac and it's an Apple keyboard, that somehow the signal getting sent with my left arrow isn't the same as the one that's getting sent with yours.
Ah, okay.
I mean, that's just supposition, but I mean, I know the control key works because literally I control C all day for work. So that's
Did
not it.
you try any other control, like control F to flip it?
It's fine.
Oh yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so it's got to be that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
something,
was
something
when
with
I
the
first
arrow.
tried to set it up, I'm using like control Z and control X, which is what
Yeah,
I'm
of
used to
course. Yeah,
on all of the
absolutely.
bar ones that we've
That's
got,
right.
on all of the Labatai ones, and
Absolutely.
I'm like, why isn't this working? And
Yeah,
then I
what is
look
the
at it and
dang
it's
deal?
like control left, control right. What is that? And then I'm thinking, well, is it the buttons on the mouse, the left mouse key, the right mouse key?
Is it?
And then I messed with the arrow key, and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
okay, now it
that wouldn't
worked.
make any sense. No, that wouldn't make any sense anyway. But I'm going to try it just because it's weird.
Yeah,
Nope, it doesn't work.
no, it's definitely the
How's
arrow key, but yeah, it's got to be where the Mac universe isn't
I guess?
matching with that. In which case, we should
Yeah.
I'll let that fella know. I think his name is Matt, so that way then he can. Oh, your little Cossacks can book, can't they?
Yeah, they really can. So that's 8 he spent to get
Yeah.
there. And you know what? Being a bar player, I may have counted the facing change as part of the 8. So
Well, I
whatever.
think you are supposed to. I think
No,
they do the facing change for free at the beginning of their move, but after
no,
that, do they
no,
pay for it?
no. That is actually what I sent you in Discord before this afternoon as I'm reading the rules. That it's really badly written. Um, Let me see if I can find it here. So the way the text works, so the text says, um, a unit may fully change its own facing before starting to move or while moving.
Yes.
Now, what fully? That's an interesting choice of word. Then it says a unit may change its facing by 60 degrees per hex entered. This change of facing doesn't cost any movement points.
Oh, okay. So
If a unit
yeah,
changes its facing by more
more
than
than
60
60
degrees,
degrees, then it costs one.
then it costs 1 movement point.
Okay.
An
Okay.
infantry unit in line has to pay 1 movement point to change facing for every 60 degrees while moving.
Okay. So that's what I was thinking of. So it's just the infantry in line
Infantry in line got to pay for it all,
got to
which
pay for it all.
makes total
Yeah.
sense. Not a problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Still find the wording completely confusing.
Yeah. No, and so I think the idea is, if, say, for example, at the beginning, before the units moved, I could about face them and march away from you, right? So when I see the save fully change its facing, it
Yeah,
struck me as, if I wanted to, with this cavalry unit, I wanted to about face it at the beginning of its movement,
yeah.
it wouldn't cost me anything at all.
See,
But
and
as
I
soon as
disagree. I don't think that's
yeah.
what it means.
Oh, you don't?
I don't, because everything it says is, well, first of all, it could be interpreted multiple ways. That's really my
Yeah,
objection.
yeah, I think
Is that
that is.
it's because the second sentence is talking about per hex entered. Okay,
Right.
well, so in other words, that doesn't apply if I'm not entering a hex. But then the third sentence that talks about if it's more than 60 degrees, doesn't mention entering a hex.
Yeah.
So then I'm thinking, well, okay, so maybe what fully change means is I can move as many hex points as I want, but sometimes I got to pay, sometimes I don't, depending on how much.
Right.
But I can do as many as I want. That's my sense of what it means. But again, I hate that I'm having to guess. So anyway,
Yeah. Well, and they just probably need some more examples of play.
I think maybe that wouldn't be
Yeah.
a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just still think that maybe a technical writer with a native English speaker would probably be a good idea too.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So that's good. All right. All right. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of these knuckleheads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just go around the town and finesse the whole problem. And these guys, so they're down to just 5 movement points.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's pretty cool. And then let's see. So again, I'm going to take it that you can change facing. Well, again, see, there's the next thing, because it says you can turn 1 hex point for free for every hex entered. Does that mean that it's not free if you're not entering a hex? In other words, before you start moving? Right?
Yeah, except when you're looking at that example of play.
Oh, is there one there?
Yeah, there is. It's on page 24. It's got
Change.
the unit, and it looks like the unit is turning and then moving, or at least like in the little snapshot. And the other thing is that it's this isn't bar where these are the front hexes. It's front, 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 right?
Right. That's a
So
fair point. Yeah, I forgot
what's
about
to
that.
say that so if I move this way, I just move through my front. I move this way, I'm moving through my
Yeah.
front, right?
Oh God, that hurts my brain. But okay. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
No,
and
that's fair.
so then the question is, and so maybe that's why you can do that. So I moved 1 hex and then I changed a facing, right? Because I moved sideways. Well, what looks to us like sideways,
Oh,
but
oh,
really
wow.
I'm
Yeah.
moving here. I'm moving through my
Because that's a
front
front
and
hex.
then I'm changing, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah, and
that.
if you look at that example, that is, oh yeah, I guess there's different ways you could interpret that. But yeah, it costs him 1 to move to that hex to his left,
Yep.
and he's turning,
Yep.
and then he turns 1 more to his left after moving 1 to his left, and then forward, and then forward, and then forward with the extra cost of moving into an enemy zone of control. Okay.
Yeah.
That I'm okay with that because this is cavalry, but the minute we go to infantry, that won't be true.
Well, it's for infantry and column,
Oh,
it's the
but it
same.
is true for
So it's
column. I
only
forgot
going to
about
be
that
infantry
too.
that is in
In
line.
line, and they have to pay all the time.
Yep,
That's
yep,
what the
yep, yep,
rule
yep,
says.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So the infantry in
Interesting.
line is going to be very much like what we deal with bar and
With bar,
Labatai and stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
Although Labatai, you don't have to pay for it even with except in
Right.
Regs 30 and some other stuff, but it'll be more bar like.
Well, and I think we pretty much all like things that are bar like.
I am really appreciating it.
3, 4. Whoops, stop it. 5. All right. And then I put him there, and he is within 4 of everybody. So uh, it's just genius. It's just, I laugh, I cry, I learn a little bit about myself. There we go. Oh no, I got to select all of them. Oh dear.
Oh, what, to toggle the thing
To turn
off?
off the traces. Okay, and then I got to select him again distinctly to turn off his. Whew, boy, yeah, that's a little ugly. All right, well, that's fair. So there we go.
Okay. All
We
right.
have done another
Little
activation.
activation.
So now we will
Let me
go.
go.
It'll
I'm going to
be
grab
your
one from the
turn to
bag.
grab one. Yep.
Hey, what do you know? It's a French one.
I'll be darned.
So now let's see if I can find my little French thing. All right. And I'm going to move my cavalry again because I want to have combat
Yeah.
just so we can try out combat.
Oh, no, that's interesting. Help me out with this, because I just thought I'd do the same thing you just did with the whole choose side.
Yeah.
All I have to choose from are observer and French.
Oh, that's
There is
because I'm
there is no
solo.
because you're solo. See, ooh,
Oh.
that's a little weird, right? It's
Yeah,
not the end of the world. I can.
let's see, where did we go? Oh. Oh yeah. Well, I guess how many solo players do you have?
No, I get it, but in this case, there's a good reason for us to go to being solo,
Right.
so we can see one another's things during the course of a turn,
Yeah.
and then go back to our sides.
So,
So,
yeah.
and yet, I get it. Vassal probably is like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Why would you? Why
So
would you
I'm
both be
back to
solo?"
French, so you can
Okay,
go
so
to
if I
solo.
wanted to go to
Yeah.
solo,
So it looks like only one of us can
yes.
be solo at a time.
Ooh, in fact, only one of us can be anything in particular at a time,
Yeah.
because French was no longer an option
Yeah.
for me just
Well,
now.
and
Solo
Russian
is.
had never been an option for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Okay.
now I could be
Interesting.
Russian because you're solo.
Yes. So
So
this
now
is.
that's an option for me.
So do we have spies in one another's camp? That's like,
We
I
probably
don't
have.
know.
There's probably somebody
Oh,
somewhere
there probably is.
who
Okay.
is. All right.
All right.
So
Well,
I picked my
that
my little
same cavalry
guys.
outfit.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
That's right.
I'm gonna try. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to mess around with. One is obviously to try to do some attacks, and the other
Sure.
is that there's the reaction charge thing that I wanted
Right.
to try out as well. So
Right.
so we're just gonna kind of see how that goes. So I'm gonna
Right.
start off with this guy here who is this little hussar,
Okay.
and he's gonna move there. He's gonna move sideways like that, just
Oh
to,
no!
and
My
then he's
bar
gonna
brain.
turn. Yes,
My
and then
bar
he's gonna
brain.
turn.
Oh
So
no.
that's
Okay. All right. That's
one.
one movement point
Yep,
still.
and
Right.
there's
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
there's three.
And
And then I
then
guess at this point, then you would have to declare if you're going to be a reaction charge.
reaction. So here I am
A
looking
unit
for
moves
reaction.
into the front hex of an enemy cavalry unit, provokes a possible reaction charge if the cavalry unit is not tired. The owning player of the cavalry unit needs to decide immediately, and the reaction charge is resolved after the moving unit ends its movement. It has to stop when entering a hex adjacent to an enemy unit. If the cavalry is executing a reaction charge, it gets a +2 DRM for charging a short distance. A reaction
Right.
charge is allowed to any cavalry unit under attack, move, hold, or defend orders.
Okay. All right. And so they're under move orders, so they could do it. And so basically, and interesting. So basically, my choice here is I can reaction charge. I will get that +2 because it's a short charge, whereas you wouldn't be getting the +2 because it's not a short charge for you. I'm guessing. I forget what the definition is of short
Right.
charge.
So, well, a short charge is, it looks like you're starting adjacent to the other person.
Okay.
Right.
So obviously, and in your case, that wouldn't be the case. So the difference is you would be
I would be the defender
if I reaction
if you
charged,
reaction charged. And
and it would
so
be
then we would be
presumably one
looking
to one.
at we'd be looking at the assault/charge table.
Right. All right. So just to exercise it. Hey, I'll reaction charge, Eric.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the odds. And so the odds are 1-to-1. So there's no die
Yeah.
roll modifier there. Then we look at defending unit is. I'm not elite. I'm not green. I'm not Russian. I'm not under a defend order, hold order, retire order, regroup order. I'm not charging more than one, charging
You're
from
not
more
being
than one
charged
hex.
from more than one hex.
Right, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not in obstructed terrain, not flank, not
Right.
rear, not in square, not in line, column.
Yeah. Looks
No
all
lancers. This is this. Good.
right.
So then we go
Okay.
to assaulting charging unit.
Okay.
Lost SP to fire combat. We don't have that. You are green, I guess, because you don't
What?
have any little. Yeah, you don't have the little
Oh,
chevron,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Right. No, that makes sense. All right.
So
So it's
they
plus
so it's
one
a
there.
+1
Yeah.
there, and then it's a short charge, so it's +3.
Three
So +3
together.
altogether.
Right. Right.
Is cavalry against infantry? Is cavalry tired? No. Is heavy cavalry against others? Charging uphill, downhill, obstructed, leader present.
Okay.
So it looks like it's just a straight up die roll
Right. With a
with a
plus
+3.
three. Okay. Um.
And so you're going to roll the double dice, and then we'll add 3 to it and see what we get.
Okay. I'm confused. What am I rolling against?
So you are, if it is 9 or more, the defender holds and the attacker
Oh, I
takes
see.
1
I see.
loss.
That's
If
that's
it's 8,
bad.
we both
Right.
lose a law thing,
Right.
and if
Right.
it's
Right.
7
Okay.
or less, I lose.
Okay. All right. So it's whatever I roll plus three.
Yep. So that's going to be a
That's
7.
a 7.
So I'm going to lose. So I will lose a strength point.
1 strength point. Okay.
Add loss marker. Oh. I guess it's
Okay.
counting down because it automatically put a 3 there,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Okay.
I'll take it if that's how it does it. Let me hit it on the other ones here. Oh yeah. So here, like on that 9 marker,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hit it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then, so it looks like
You
it's
just
counting
say
how many increments you've got left.
how many are left, not how many are missing.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
doing the math for you, which is kind of nice.
Which is nice, to be fair. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So then I'm going to, I guess I would be marked as tired also because,
Would you?
well, yeah, because we did combat, didn't we?
Well, I don't know. That's what we need to figure out, right?
Yeah.
If I look for tired,
And I know you'd be marked as tired, right?
yeah, and that would be totally correct. I have no problem with that. Just looking for where does it say? A cavalry unit that is charged becomes tired. Cavalry unit that is charged becomes tired.
Where'd you find that?
That was page 20, right under the kind of where they're just showing the facing of cavalry units.
Okay.
A tired cavalry unit can execute a charge and stays tired.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. An evading. Okay, yeah, that was one of my other complaints about the rules. Any unit that moves into a front hex of an enemy cavalry unit provokes possible reaction charge if that cavalry unit is not tired. Okay, yeah,
Right,
got that.
yeah.
Cavalry becomes tired after executing a retreat.
Oh, okay. So
That
I would then
is
become
under
tired.
retreats.
Okay. So if I had stood and not failed, or if the roll had been different,
Yeah.
say it was, a 9
Right.
or even an
Yeah.
8, right?
Yeah.
Then I would still stay fresh and you would be tired because you
Right.
charged, but I didn't retreat. So
Right.
now we're both going to be tired because I have to retreat, and
Right.
then you are tired because you charged. So, but I move half my movement points.
Is that what it is? I was just looking for that.
Yeah. So for on retreats, I
Round
know
fractions
infantry
up. Yep.
move
I
their
see it.
full, and cavalry
And
move
cavalry
half.
does half.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So not
So
5 for you then.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets him there. And then let's go ahead and
Oh,
flip
I'm
him.
sorry. What was that?
So he was here, right? And I'm
Yeah.
moving away from you towards my side of the map, right?
Yeah. So, but you should have moved 5 hexes.
Oh, is it 5 hexes? Oh, okay. I thought it was 5 movement points because the
No,
marshes is worth 2. Okay. So
no.
one, two, three,
Ignore
four.
facing and terrain costs while
One, two,
retreating.
three, 4, 5. There we go. Okay.
No, I think you did too much that time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, one more. One more. There we go. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is the
Okay.
hardest part. Can
Yeah,
Eric
apparently
count to 5?
counting hexes is
I
the
got to take my socks off and count on my toes here. How many was
okay.
that? How many was that?
So each hex must increase the distance between it and the enemy unit. You must not retreat into enemy hex that brings the retreating unit closer to any enemy unit unless there are no eligible paths. Do not retreat into a hex occupied by friendly units unless there's no other eligible paths. Southwest is the general direction for French units. Yeah, okay. So that seems like
Well, so
that
actually,
all
I
feels
should
right.
be here instead of here, right? Because they said every hex retreated has to be further away from from the enemy,
Oh yes, you're right. Actually,
right?
that is
So
right because
so there's 1, right?
that's right.
2, 3, and
Yeah,
if I
but
go
if
there,
you
it's
went that,
still
you're still 3.
yeah,
Yeah, you haven't actually gotten any farther
yeah,
away.
yeah. So I have
So
to kind of go that
that's
way.
good.
Yeah.
That's and it's also southwest, which
Yep,
is
yep, yep, yep. Which is what I
thematically appropriate there.
thematically appropriate indeed.
So okay, all right. So interesting. Yeah. So So interesting. So you coming up and letting me charge you means you didn't charge.
Yes.
It's just kind of an interesting subtlety there semantically, right? Because if I'd stood there, then you did charge.
Yes.
Kind of funny.
Yeah. And if I had
Although I
done
guess
that,
to be
yeah,
fair, you could have marched right up there and not charged me, right? Just because you're adjacent to me didn't mean you had to charge me.
correct.
So
Correct.
really, you hadn't charged me yet. So okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And so that's the other thing that's different with this. It's
Yeah,
I'm used to like with Labatai where we're marking charge markers, assault markers, all this
right,
jazz,
right,
and instead it's something that's more like um, we're kind of moving up on people in a different way.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess that I mean that these are 150-meter hexes, so they're a little bit bigger hexes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we definitely would be seeing these as charges if we were playing Bar or Labatai. But
Yes.
we don't here, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good.
Okay. Let's
Okay,
do some more movement, I guess. Yeah.
you've got. Now, by the way,
Yeah.
were we supposed to have done? Oh yeah, I guess the reaction happens instantly.
Yeah. The reaction happens instantly.
Okay,
Yeah. So
all right,
we would resolve that right away, and then
right,
I carry on with whatever movement I have. So now if
right.
I wanted to, I could move somebody up here, and that guy at least couldn't reaction charge.
Can't react.
Right. So
That's
the
right.
idea is that, he kind of used up his reaction charge
Sure,
against that guy, so now he
you
can't do it
bet.
against somebody else.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm going to do some stuff here and see about you forming square. Let's some mess around with that a little bit.
Mm,
So I'm gonna move these guys here. right? And I think you've
Okay,
got
let's
potentially a
look
line of
up.
sight to them.
Let's look up
Um,
square. That's page 21. Um, okay, so line of sight, an infantry unit or stack of infantry units that has an activated slash moving enemy cavalry unit within 4 hexes of itself may change its formation into square at any time. It must have line of sight to the enemy cavalry unit. And you were 1 hex south and west of where you are right now.
yeah,
Is
I
that
was
right?
right here. So
Okay.
I don't know if you have line of sight where I am right now.
I
So
don't
we
know. It's
probably should have, when I moved them in the previous turn, like when I was moving here, right,
yeah.
towards that spot, then you should have said, you would have had a line of sight on them then. And then you could have said, oh, I'm going to try to
So,
form
but
square or something.
I'm struggling to see why I don't have a line of sight already, because the slope is exactly halfway between us.
Uh, well, you very well could. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, somewhere they had the
Yeah.
slopey
There's
thing.
yeah. Slopey.
So let's see if the target is on the lower level, the line of sight is blocked if the blocking feature is closer to the target. So, I mean, in this particular case, it's this slope here, right?
the the blocking feature is exactly halfway between the two. That's
Yeah.
the that's the trick
And
here.
so
It's not
therefore, so it's 1 hex away from me and it's 1 hex away for you. So therefore, it's not closer to me than it is to you. If you were 1 hex back,
right.
then
Agreed.
then it would be, yeah, I
Yes.
would be under the shadow of it. Yeah.
Right. But as it stands, I think I've got line of sight.
Yeah. So I
And
agree. I mean,
okay.
if you didn't do anything, or if I were one closer, if I were here, then you wouldn't have the line of sight.
Yeah, at least
Yeah.
that guy wouldn't. The
Yeah.
other guy would.
The other guy, this guy would definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's work through this, because page 21. Um, So, if the LOS is blocked by a friendly unit in square only, the infantry unit may change its formation to square, although the LOS is blocked by the unit. Okay, it's again badly worded.
Right.
If the only thing preventing you from having LOS is another friendly unit in square, then there is no block to your LOS.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Decision must be taken the moment the enemy cavalry enters slash is activated. So honestly, I could do them all right now if I wanted to. You don't even get to move.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Provided there's LOS, right?
Right.
If the player decides not to change to square but wants to wait and see, he can decide, but then must pass a square check. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, let's understand what he's. If the player decides not to change to square, but wants to wait and see where the enemy cavalry moves, is this assuming that you're at 4 hex range right now?
Uh, yes, I think it's presuming that you're at the 4 hex range.
Right. I wish it would say so.
Yeah.
Because obviously that happened on a different turn. So fundamentally, what happened is last turn, I really was already presented with this choice. We just didn't go through
Yes. Yeah.
we
We
didn't go
didn't go
through the
through the motion.
discussion
Yeah.
of it. So presumably at that point, I had the opportunity when you were 1 hex further back.
Yep.
I could have for free just gone to square.
Yeah.
Okay. And since I elected not to, then that means that now I would have to execute a check. So now how does that work?
So it says
I got to
the infantry
roll
rolls an 8 or higher on 2 DS. If the
if the
roll
roll
fails, You lose 1 strength point and stay where you're at in your original formation. An infantry unit has only 1 chance per activated cavalry unit to try to form square.
Okay, so if the enemy cavalry moves within 3 or 2 hexes or adjacent, it's -1, -2, -3.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
a
basically the
leader can add
closer
his rating.
yeah, the
Yeah,
closer I get to you, the worse it gets, kind of a
which
thing.
is totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm struggling with this a little bit. I just want to make sure that we're talking this through.
Yeah.
So if you're at 4 hex range, it's automatic.
Yep.
If you're at 3 hex range, then I would actually need a 9 or better. So there's only what's that? 1 chance in 3.
Well, but it's worse than that because remember it's 2 dice. So the odds of rolling a 9 or better are what? It's
1 in 3. That's what I was just saying.
no, 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 no. It's worse than that because it's actually a 22% chance instead of a 33% chance.
9 or better.
Remember. I mean, so how many ways can you get a 9 with 2 dice? Right?
So
You can roll a 5 and a 4 and a
there's
6
one
and a 3.
so there's one way to get boxcars. There's
Yeah.
2 ways to get 11. That's 3 different possibilities there, right?
Right.
Then there's 3 ways to roll 10. So that's now 6 different possibilities that match. There's
Right.
4 different ways to roll a 9, so that means 10. So you get 10 out of 36 chances to roll a 9 or better.
Right.
So it is about 1 chance in 3.
Okay.
And then if I let you get closer, now it becomes 1 chance in 6.
Yes.
And if I get you 1 hex even closer, now it's like 1 chance in 9.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a very that jump from 4 hexes to 3 hexes is a huge jump from 100% to about 30%.
Yes.
So basically, if you're going to do it, you really need to do it at 4 because waiting till 3, like, what did you get by waiting till 3?
Right.
Okay. All right. So, and the implication, though, is just a strength point.
Correct.
That's really the worst thing that happens.
Right.
So,
Well, and then there's no guarantee that I'm going to attack them. But
sure, of course
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. On the other hand, I mean, for most of my guys, there's no reason to worry about going into square because you don't have anything in the area that's really a threat to them in square.
Yeah, the only thing I've got that's potentially threatening is these horse guns.
Ah, there you go. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen
And so
them
the
yet.
horse guns
Okay.
could move up. I mean, since this is second activation, they've got 1
Yep.
movement point less, so they can move 1, 2,
6.
3, 4, unlimber, and they can fire immediately. And then
Yeah.
when the cube comes up, they can fire again, kind of a thing.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I remember there was something in the rules about the French horse guns. French horse artillery unlimbers at the end of its movement, allowed to execute 1 fire combat. Right. I was just double checking the wording
Yeah.
of that. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to not have this guy go into square. He's not even
Okay.
going to try.
Yeah.
But these 2 guys will go ahead and give it a try.
Okay.
And again, wow, definitely would roll differently if you'd known that 4 was as big a difference as
Yeah.
it really was. So we'll do the top one first. Those,
Sure. Northernmost. Sure.
Okay,
So they form square.
To square. How do we mark that? Sort of.
There was a up here.
there is a square marker.
Square
Yeah,
marker.
there is. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised it wasn't. I'm surprised it wasn't a right-click option. I didn't see it in the right-click menu.
Yeah, no. Oh, actually, I see. It
Oh,
does say
square
add square
layer.
marker.
Square layer. It's really
Yeah, so
what
if you right click on an infantry unit,
on an
it
infantry unit?
says
Yes.
add square marker, control Q.
Oh, oh goodness, it does say that. Why didn't I see it last time? That's
Yeah.
strange. Okay, so add square marker, but then what is this next one? If you go scroll down almost to the bottom of the menu, it says square layer.
Square layer. Well, let's see what that does. Oh, it makes a tiny little baby one.
Oh, which is actually a lot
I
nicer.
like that better. Yeah, because then you can see the unit that's underneath it.
Yeah. Okay, so add square layer. There we go. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think that's a lot more elegant.
Yeah.
So very good. All right, we'll roll for the other guys, and they just miss.
Okay. Missed it by that much.
That much. Okay, so it doesn't specify who pays the price. So I just put it on the unit
Yeah.
on the bottom. I mean, it doesn't. So I mean, I'll just do that. So okay, all right. So we have reacted to your impending thinking about moving.
So, why isn't it showing the loss?
It's on the bottom unit.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Oh, weird. Where is it?
I see a little red
I see.
slash thing on
So
there.
and so do I. But where's the?
So, like on my cavalry unit, you could see the loss on mine, right?
You
Because
know what?
it's
You know what I did?
what's that?
I actually just said SP loss instead of add loss marker. So let me
Ah,
do SP recovery and then add loss marker. And then presumably now if I select that unit again and say SP loss,
no, it's still adding a
no.
little slash to it. I wonder what the SP loss does if you do more than one. I'm just going to
Um
keep hitting it.
oh
Oh,
no.
it actually takes
No
the
no
number down on the counter.
hold on.
So
Uh, so
if
if
you
I
hit SP, so take a look at here. Take a look at this cavalry unit of mine. Right,
oh yes, I
it's
see it.
7. The value is
Yes.
7. Now the value
Yes.
is 6.
And
Now
if
the
you
value
keep
is
going,
5.
so
Oh,
all
that's
it's doing is telling you that you're not at the full number.
yeah, and it actually counts it down.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So now
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
looking over here and going, I've got 3. Now I would just look at the counter and I would just say, oh, I've got 3.
So maybe you just don't even bother with the loss marker.
Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the loss marker
Yeah, because I mean, I
and just
gotta
hit the SP loss instead. And
gotta
now
confess, I
it's
think
got
the
a
loss
little,
markers are kind of ugly anyway.
yeah. So now I've got the little red stripe indicating they've been
Yes,
bloodied,
that
but it's showing I've got 3 increments
so
left.
he's recovery eligible. That's the important thing.
Well, he's only recovered, he can't get back to 100%.
Oh, that's right, which
Right?
is good,
Because the
and
rules are
I
you can't
approve,
get back to 100%.
which I approve of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
as it
okay.
should be.
But yeah, I like that better because it's a lot cleaner
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
than the other stuff.
Okay, all right. So now we are kind of figuring out this vassal module
Well, no, I mean, but
by
that's
braille.
that's it's like anything else. It's until you mess around with it, you have no idea
Exactly.
um what it is and how it's working. So,
So
uh
it's kind of like the guy wanted to make it so it could look just like the game,
yes.
but he also thought, you know what? There's a more elegant way to do. Let me do that instead.
Yeah, and I think they have this in other vassal modules where you
Okay,
can
but yeah, okay.
toggle through stuff. We just don't normally see it in the bar and the Labatai ones
Yeah, I've
because
never seen it
remember,
before.
how do you know if you've lost 50%? If you don't
Right,
know what you had, and if it's marking down the increments, and you're like, "Am I at
right.
50% yet?" I don't know. So I mean, I'm sure that would be
Oh,
run
but you know
reasonably.
what? But you could do that. I mean, you just mark it somehow differently,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
you could even have the the 8 go to 7, go to 6, go to 5, go to a gray 4.
Yeah, true,
right?
true.
You could keep on doing all kinds of things you can't do with actual cardboard.
Yeah. No, I like this. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Okay, all
Let's
right.
see. Grim Harbinger says, greetings. He says, since when did this become a math stream? Apparently, he must have tuned in when we were talking about, how many
Oh,
ways you can make, you know, a 12, how many ways you can make an 11. So,
combinations and
yeah,
permutations,
yep,
baby.
yep. I'm sorry about that. If hopefully nobody's having a PTS, they're well, what would you've covered this? Maybe in sixth grade probability or something like that,
I don't really know
possibly,
when they do
or
that.
statistics. I don't know.
I certainly did it in statistics class in graduate school,
Yeah,
and that was the part I was pretty good at. It was when they did the rest of statistics that my brain exploded.
yeah. Well, I'm
So,
going to move
all
some
right,
more people. So this
all right,
guy's going to
yeah,
move there, and that's going to be then turning one. And
okay,
then
good,
I'm going
good.
to go here, and then I'm going to go here
All
just
right,
for fun. Good.
sure.
So we'll have some combat there, and I know that'll make you
Yeah.
happy. There's one.
Oh,
And then I'm going to
absolutely.
turn there
Right.
and two, and I'm going to go there to kind of cover him. And
Okay. All right.
then let's see, 1, 2, 3. We'll go there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he's going to unlimber like that. So he can shoot at the guy who's in square.
Two, three, four. Okay.
Yeah. And then this guy's going to move here. And do I want to attack just for the sake of attacking?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Attack early, attack often.
On a
So,
wall.
yes. So, one, actually, here, where was that guy? Let's put him back to where he was. There we go. So he's going to go one. Do you want to try to form square again?
I can't.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Can you only
I
do it
mean,
once per? Was it once per
I
thing
think
or once per unit?
once per enemy. Okay, so and I can see this is going to be a problem.
An infantry
Yeah,
unit has only one chance per activated cavalry unit. Okay. So if you said you were trying to activate based on him, then and you tried it and you failed, but now say I move this
wow.
guy now, can you try to form a square now?
Yeah. See, and that kind of doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, because think about it. I I saw that. Well, all right. The 7-8 was
Yeah.
okay. We still have a problem here because again, all of those rules assume that that all of this happened at 4 hexes.
Yeah. Well,
And
this
and
guy is at 4 hexes. But yes, I
well,
mean if he was here and he moved there, then that's that.
right. So, but you were. I'm sorry. You were. Where's my cursor? You were right there. That's where the 7-8
Yeah,
was,
that's where
right?
the 7-8 was. Yeah.
Okay. So, what would have kept me? So, nowhere in the rule does it really explain because it's assuming everything in the same way there.
Yeah.
Um, so, because there's any cavalry unit within 4,
Yep.
I have to react to the nearest one. I guess not. I guess because really when we say activate, we're talking about actually putting your hand on it, I guess. And because you put your hand on the one that was 3 away,
Yeah.
um, I had to react to it.
Yeah. But now as
Um,
soon as I pick up
or I
this
could
one,
or I could wait.
yeah.
Except I'm sitting here thinking about it. It would make no sense for him to be able to go into square now because that guy's 4 away, right? I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense because this guy's right here, right next to him, and he's already failed to go into square based on this guy's behavior. Why would he suddenly be allowed to go into square? Because somebody else moved near,
Yeah, because the whole turn
right?
is an hour long, and we're playing a game with little pieces on the board.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I
maybe they're
know,
thinking more abstractly. So I
but
mean, yeah. So
what
I
it
mean,
kind of suggests, though, is from your perspective, you don't want to charge with a lot of units. Because if you charge with a lot of units, guaranteed I'm going to be able to go into square. All of them are going to be able to go into square.
yeah,
The worst thing that happens is I may take a couple of strength point losses um, in order to get myself into square.
right. Well, and the other thing is that um, if you're in square, right, when the fire chit comes up, you've got hardly anything that you can shoot at me. It's like a little pop gun, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
right,
So
right,
if I come up and you form into square, then yeah, it's no big deal. You've neutralized you, and I haven't committed to actually attacking you.
right. Sure, you're just kind of
Yeah,
wandering around the neighborhood.
yeah,
I'm still struggling though with and again, I know this is theoretically all kind of happening at the same time, but not exactly happening at the same time.
yeah,
Um, but but it is just a little weird. I say the minute you put your finger on that next unit, I say, oh well, then I just go into square, boom, without even having to roll,
yeah,
even though you've already got a unit immediately adjacent to me.
yeah. And it's only because the charge mechanics aren't what we're used to with some of
Yeah,
the other games that are more where the time is
is more
compressed.
compressed. It's only a
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Although
there is a mechanism with, you do this and then there's charge that and then
right,
yeah. So this is a little bit more. I mean, the idea is you're sacrificing some of that stuff for just playability.
right. I still kind of just I'm not comfortable procedurally with this because again, it assumes that the board is clean and
Yeah,
that and and a cavalry unit approaches,
yeah,
and then you react to that cavalry unit, and then the rule doesn't really deal with what happens when other units move.
yeah.
It's like you start all over getting to activate based up or react to another unit, even though the first unit maybe is breathing down your neck. Really? Why do you get so many chances?
Well,
It's
so
weird.
but no, here's the thing. You did, and you lost 100 guys or however many guys that
Yeah,
increment
whatever.
is.
Sure.
So the idea was that you tried to form square or you tried to react to that one,
Yeah.
and it didn't go so well. So you lost some deorganization or how I'm however that
Yeah, yeah.
loss represents
Sure.
itself.
Right, right, right.
Um, and so then okay, somebody else moves later. Uh, then now you're forming. Now you've got yourself together because you've got more time to react.
Right.
Kind of a
And
thing.
and okay.
And so if we're thinking about it, you could say, okay, well maybe those that increment of guys that got lost, well maybe they got chewed up by some of this cavalry. I mean, even though we didn't have quote unquote combat, the fact that they reacted to this and they lost an increment as a result means that maybe some element there was
Or
some sort of combat that happened
really
here or there was something that happened there that's
is it
not
really just unsteadiness?
yeah,
Maybe not even actual losses, right? Maybe it's more disorder and morale loss.
yeah,
But here's the thing where from a game perspective where it bothers me a little bit. And I mean, just because it seems counterintuitive. If you want that charge to go home right now, because I'm not in square, right?
right,
So maybe that's what you want. Um, then what you want to do is bring up no more. Don't even touch that that other 9-8, the one that's selected right now, and don't
right,
bring up anybody else more than another hex.
right.
Because if you bring up these other guys, then these guys get to go into square automatically.
And that's fine.
It may be fine. It's just a little weird, right? Because it's like the only way I can really charge these guys is if I don't bring up any other horsemen. Really? Why?
Right.
Maybe I'm being too literal here, but it just strikes me as very strange that you're actually motivated not to bring up too many horse because it means that I've got a diminished chance of actually going into square. If you bring up a lot of horses, then I'm guaranteed to be able to go into square.
Right.
That's weird. Okay, so do whatever you're gonna do because
Okay. So I'm going to
uh,
move this guy forward one.
okay. Well, the minute you touched him, I guess I just decided I would just go into square,
Yeah. Cool.
and this guy won't.
Okay. That's fine. So then I'm just going to move him over here like that. And then I'm going to have this guy come over here and turn him. Oops, I hit the wrong button.
Oh dear.
I don't know what I hit, but
Yeah.
oh, if you hit the up and down arrow key, it
Oh,
adds
which is right
losses
there
to it.
next to the
Yes, right next to the
interesting.
side.
Okay, so let me
Okay.
try that. Let me try that because I expect mine won't work. Nope.
Huh. Okay, so it's got to be something with your arrow key thing there.
Well, it's even worse than that because I think there's a Mac shortcut that's it's interacting with. So I maybe that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'm going to open up my keyboard shortcuts and see if there's anything I can do to maybe stop them interacting the way they're interacting. Because I'm wondering if that's what it is. It's like the, the Mac is interpreting uh, control and other things
Right.
as having a specific meaning, which is not what we mean. So, function keys, modifier keys. Huh. Well, I'll have to figure it out. Um, that might be more trouble than it's worth. But all right, we'll work it out later. Um, okay, so does that mean you moved everybody?
I believe so.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a shot with those guns at your guy here. I think I got a line of
Oh,
sight to him.
actually, yeah, actually, you probably. I guess theoretically, you probably were supposed to do that right when he stopped moving,
Oh,
right?
okay.
I'm guessing because, well, I don't know. What do I know?
Well, I can't
Okay,
even.
so
I can't remember where that is. Where it says I can fire at you. Is it in the fire thing or is it in the artillery thing?
it was. I looked
Oh, it's
under
under fire.
horse.
When a French horse artillery unlimbers at the end of its movement, it is allowed
Right,
to execute one fire
right.
combat following.
It kind of feels like you kind of need to do it immediately.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, it'd be too easy to forget. All right, so
So,
it's 4 hex range,
uh,
uh, and
yeah. So it's
for
one, two, three, four. So I've got my range is 6, which is
so
fine.
it's medium distance, so it's
So
SPs times one.
times 1. So I have 2
So it's
SPs.
two,
And
okay,
then
and
you are in square. No, that's something else. Target is
oh no, yeah,
artillery.
yeah,
Okay, so artillery is
uh,
firing on a square. So I have a +4 to the die roll.
yes, yes.
And I don't think there's any other modifiers that I can see.
I don't think so. No,
Okay,
no.
so I'm on the 2 chart with a +4. So let me
And
roll my 2
you're
dice and see what I get.
and is it 2 dice?
It is 2 dice, yeah.
Okay.
So I rolled a 3 plus 4
Ooh,
is going to be a 7. That is a big fat nothing.
big fat nothing.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Okay. So
all
that
right then.
was that.
Yes, indeed, it was that. It was that it was.
Indeed. Okay.
Okay.
So now we
All
go back
right.
to the bag. We want to try one more activation or two, and then
Yeah,
we'll.
let's do one more and then declare
Yeah.
victory. Go home.
All
All
right.
right.
Why don't you go ahead and grab one? Oh, it's a blue one.
All right.
Okay.
It's one of yours.
So it's one for the evil Frenchies. So let's see here. I'm going to use it on my infantry. I'm going to try some combined arms here if I can. So I'm going to do it here. This is Laval, and he is the second division of the fourth. So let's find. Come on, let me move my thing. So second division, fourth corps.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to try. So these guys are currently in line. If I
Yeah, they are.
yeah,
Yep.
so if I take them out of line, if I put them into column,
Okay.
right? So that's one movement point.
Is it one?
Yeah, to change formation, it's one. So
Interesting.
then 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm just shy of hitting you here. So that's 1, and then that would be 2, and then 3, 4, 5, and then it's going to
7, 8.
cost 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Yeah, because it's +1 to go into that hex, +1 going up the slope.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, cool. Maybe I'll get
Okay.
another activation.
Well, he has a pretty good chance of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so the idea is.
So the idea
I'm
was I'm trying to get you into by getting you into square.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
understand what you're
Oh,
doing.
okay.
I'm trying to work through the mechanics of changing formations and what that does to your movement factor. So it costs you 1 to change, you say,
Yep.
and then you start using the new movement factor,
I think that's how it
or
works because
do you have to use the one that you started with? Or I'm
so I was under the impression you are using the movement factor that you have. So they have it like when
okay.
you go into rough terrain or obstructed terrain, right?
Yeah,
And say you're in column, then you have to
yeah,
go into line. So then you go from a movement factor of say 7 to a movement factor
yeah.
of 4 or 5 or
Okay,
whatever it is.
okay,
So so you've lost those movement factors plus whatever it costs for you to move in there.
right.
I don't think it's a case where you then, and then when you move out of it, then you have to pay 1 movement point to change into a formation.
Right. When changing, pay the formation cost 1, right? Flip the counter. Players can change the formation. Formation change can happen at the start or end. I think that's part of it. That it has to happen at the start or the end. It can't happen in the middle.
Right.
And that maybe is even more logical to do it that way, but it makes it a lot less confusing because it means that either you're getting the benefit. So let me put it this way.
Yep.
Let's say you were in column
Yep.
and you decided to go into line at the beginning of your movement.
Yep.
Does that mean you'd have 4 movement left? Because you'd already used 1 and now that you flipped over, now really your movement is 5, but you've already used 1. So you've only got 4 left.
Yes, that's the way I would interpret it.
Okay.
Because I burned a movement point changing into. So I mean, otherwise it's like if I were to move forward 4 in line and then flip him over, and then I'm like,
Right.
great, now I've got 7 movement points.
Yeah. No,
Then
that
I'm
doesn't
like,
make any
oh,
sense
now
at
I've
all.
now moved,
Right. The other thing,
13 or 12 or whatever.
the other thing I saw today, and I think it's new. I think it was in green anyway. That you can't change formations when you're adjacent to the enemy.
That's correct. Yeah, I saw that too. That is something
You
new.
can't just move up and then change, which of course the previous rules would have let you do.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm glad that's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so can't quite reach. I see what you're doing now.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, but the idea was to try to see if I can't close and then so if I get the next activation shit, then I'd be able to assault that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And yeah.
point of just curiosity.
Sure.
All these units are in line on the board when you first, as part of the setup, they're already in line. They're on the line side. Is
Right.
that why you have them all in line?
I had them in line because when we played at Tempe and you got
Yeah.
that fire chit,
Oh,
you were like
oh,
blowing the stuffing out of them because if they're in
because they
column, you
were
get a
in
plus
column,
two.
and even at a distance, it was doing
Yeah, yeah,
well
yeah,
on
yeah.
there.
And so
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Okay.
"Oh, I'll keep them in line.
Until
Um,
I'm ready to put them in column.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
that
That's
was my
fair.
thinking was to try to do
Yeah.
that. And so at least for the moment, where this guy is right now, he's kind of. I mean, I don't know that he can be. This guy can't
No,
hit him. This guy
not,
can't hit
no,
him, right?
no.
This guy can't hit him unless you rotate. Um, so
Yeah.
he's kind of safe for the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's move the rest of their friends. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 gets him there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, and we'll keep him there. And then let's see, these guys, they can change into column. 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, they'll hang out there. They're kind of shielded by their friends. Whoops. This guy is going to go. He's going to turn 1 and move here. And I guess he would be facing that way. So that's 1, 2, and
One,
then
two. Yeah.
3, 4 gets him there,
Okay.
like that. And then this guy can go here. That's just 1.
Yep.
1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I think these guys have got the same facing as the cavalry, where they got front, 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 front,
I don't
front.
know. I was just wondering about that. Yeah. Do they when they're limbered? Looking, 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 looking. Come on, where's our unlimbered artillery?
Yeah.
Limbered artillery has 4 front and 2 back hack sides. So yes,
Okay.
you're exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So they can go sideways.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4. So we'll move them this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that.
Okay.
And then we will go ahead and put our beautiful leader right here.
Well,
And
he is pretty
everybody,
beautiful. I mean, look at the guy. I mean, the
he's got
dashing
he's got a
little
nice
mustache
mustache.
there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's got the very very French sort of look on him.
All right. Let's see here. William has chimed in here.
Yep.
Oh, and so we have CACSA 666. Well, I'm not going to figure out what Casca stands for. He says it's a time factor. So I guess he was maybe referring to our idea of like the horses move up and then these other horses move and then you're forming square being provoked by horses that you're seeing that are moving after the other units moved. I think that's what he was chiming in
Yeah,
about.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Although actually, I don't like to over rotate too much on these being hour long turns when you consider that you're doing multiple activations for some formations.
Yes. Yeah.
So to me, no, it's not an hour long turn at that point.
Yeah.
The activations are kind of like 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah.
So
William,
guess what?
yeah. William
we're back.
Arens says comparing this Eylau from Sound of Drums to New England
Winner's
Simulations,
Victory.
Winner's
Yeah.
Victory, the SOD game has 2 maps, 34 by 22, if joined 68 to 44. The NES version has 4 map sheets. When put together, they form 1 map, 57 to 48 inches.
I don't think that's right because it looked like you doubled both dimensions when you were talking about the Sound of Drums game. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
there's only
It's only it's not getting to be 68 by 44. It's
right
going to be 34
44 by
by
34.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it just makes a
yeah,
rectangle. Um,
yeah.
yeah, you don't, and then
That
he
would be four
says,
maps to do
yeah,
what was listed there, right? And
yeah, and
then
then he and
NES is four maps.
yeah, and then he says here in the NES version, the hexes have the points on the north-south axis, so turn 90 degrees from the
Oh,
hexes in the SCD.
yeah, yeah. Or turned what 30 degrees, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah, the hex rows run east and west
right.
instead of north and south.
Yeah, and that's always an interesting thing with the game design.
It is.
Um, yeah, because the oh gosh, what was it when I was working with the Marshall guys on one of the games? They had like a test run map that had the if you were lined up and you were fighting, uh, the French were facing east and the Allies were facing west. Then
Right.
the hexes lined up, kind of north to south, and everyone was doing this. And then they had, I guess, another map that they came out with where the orientation had turned slightly, and
Right.
so then now suddenly everyone is facing a different way. And so a lot of it is like, as the game designer, you've got to try to get the hex grid to more or less correspond with how people are going to be
Exactly.
lining up
Yeah.
fighting each
What
other.
what were kind of the axes, but it's more than that because if you think about the kind of the games that we're familiar with, La Bataille and
Yep.
Bar, where line faces a vertex and
Yep.
column faces a side. Well, in this game, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're always facing a vertex, and that's going to affect how much implication there is
Yeah.
to which direction the hexes are facing. It probably matters less here than it does in a bar or La Bataille game because depending upon what you expect people to do, it like think about how awkward it is in bar if you're defending and your line doesn't follow the hex grid
Yeah.
because you keep having to refuse flanks,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and it's just awkward, right? Um, and yet, if all we had to do is reorient the hex grid, and then all of a sudden you're nice and tidy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in this game it wouldn't matter as much.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, do we want to
All
try
right.
one last chit? See if I
You,
can get the
you just
French
wanna
or just
you just wanna do the deal
I
here,
wanna
don't
I
you?
wanna see if I
Yeah,
can't do
yeah.
it.
Ah,
So here, let's
that's
see what
fine.
we get.
Sure, that's
Hey,
fine.
what do you know? It is the French after all.
Okay, that's
It is
good
what we
news.
call le destiny.
Mm, le.
Is that not a thing? Le
Um, I
destiny.
I don't recall the grammatical gender with which to associate with destiny. My guess, honestly, is it's probably feminine, but I'll
There we go.
I'll check.
All
If
right.
only we
So
had a
we
way
got
to know these
one
things.
less movement point than usual. So it's going to cost us one,
Oh,
two,
because this is
three
just the
to
second
move there. Yeah. So
activation.
it's the second
Okay.
activation for them. So they're going to move up here like that. These guys can then go 1, 2, 3 and be adjacent to you there. Let's see. 1, 2. Hmm. 1, 2. These guys will be here. 1, 2, 3.
Well,
These guys will be
that is
there.
weird. I would absolutely not have guessed that. It is masculine. It is le destin,
Oh, okay.
and I would not have guessed that.
All right.
Okay.
Actually, I'll move these guys back 1. And so they'll only go forward 1 and they will unlimber. Cool. And then we will put Laval where? Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see how that goes. All right. So I've got one assault that I'm going to do.
All
So
right.
these guys are going to assault those guys there. So now you guys, you get a defensive fire thing. So you are going to be, uh, the most you could fire out is 2 strength points, and your times 1. So you're going to be the 2 chart. And I'm in square. No, I'm in column. So you will have a +2, and then it's defensive fire, so you'll have another +1. So infantry fire against infantry in column or square. Oh, oh no. So you get a +1 for defensive fire and a +1 for infantry firing against column. So you have a +2 altogether, and you're on the 2 chart.
I think I agree.
Okay.
Okay. So 2
That's
with
what we call
+2.
progress.
What? Me? Well, my shooting's as good as your horse
Yeah.
guns.
Yeah. So that's going to be a miss. Okay.
Okay.
So now we get to go over to the assault charge table thing.
Right.
And I've got 16, and I think you've probably got something similar. You've got
15.
15. So it's 1 to 1. So on the odds, there's no modifiers there. The defending unit is Russian, so that's going to give you a +1. Are you under, what kind of orders are you under?
Oh, they're under attack orders, so that's
Under
not going to
attack
give them
orders,
any
so there's no
benefit. Yeah.
pluses for that.
Right.
Um, obstructed terrain, no. Charge to the flank. In square formation, assaulted by infantry. So that's a +1. Why is being.
Well, hold on. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, a plus.
Oh,
The more pluses, the worse it is. But I'm curious why it's got a +1
why?
for the Russians.
What? Well, but why is it? Why is it +1 for elite?
Yeah, no, that's why I'm wondering too. Defending
I,
unit
no,
is.
no,
It should be
that
the other
doesn't
way
make
around.
any sense. The defender wants things to be higher. The
Yes.
defender holds a position on a 9 or more,
Oh,
so
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
defender
yeah,
wants
yeah,
it to
yeah.
be
So you
higher
want it
and
to be
higher and
higher.
higher.
Yeah.
So in square formation charged by cavalry, why would that be +4? Oh no, of course it is. But in square formation assaulted by infantry is a +1. Why? It's actually advantageous for me to be in square.
Huh. That is counter to what we usually have.
No, I hear you. I'm
Yeah, because
um
normally if you're in square, you are.
Of
Um,
course, you're not all facing the right direction, so that by itself would seem to make it disadvantageous if
yeah,
you're being attacked, right? Because
yeah.
your whole defense isn't even facing the right way. Um, well, and of course, what I don't know is does this have all of the? Because there were some other things that we had to mark. Remember
Yeah, but I think
that
this
were
is the updated charts
yeah
for version 1.3.
okay.
So let's see here. So it's got
See,
so it's got so you're Russian, so that gives you a +1. You're not
right,
under any particular orders.
right,
You're
none
being
that matter.
charged. You're not being charged or attacked from more than 1 hex. So there's no thing there. Not terrain, not
Right,
flank, not
right.
rear.
Yep.
Assaulted by infantry. So that I would have thought that would have been a negative, but they have it as a positive modifier, which is strange. Um,
Odd.
yeah. So that's
And
+2 for you.
unfortunately, okay.
There's no losses for fire. Um,
Right, right.
there's tired cavalry assaulting uphill. No, nothing about that. Started. So it just looks like you have the +2 on the die roll.
I was hoping that somewhere in the rules it might talk about that. Um, I was just hoping that there was something. See, that's fire combat. So that, well, of course, this is fire combat, isn't it?
No.
No,
Well,
it's
yeah.
not.
I mean,
This is assault. This is
yeah. This
not
is
fire
assault. Yeah.
combat. So you do get a +1 for all French infantry fire against enemy infantry in square or column. Now that's interesting because that means if you're in square, I don't gain any benefit when shooting at you, but you do when you're shooting at me.
But but that's on the fire table. Is that what you're
I
looking at?
absolutely. All I was trying to do was trying to get my head wrapped around, the pluses and minuses of being in square relative to enemy infantry,
Right.
right? Because it seemed a little counterintuitive that it seemed advantageous when being attacked by being assaulted by enemy infantry.
Right.
But what I'm also seeing though is it is to my detriment when it comes time to fire combat.
Yeah.
Both in
So
both directions. One,
yeah.
because obviously my shooting at you is not going to be very impressive, and but your shooting at me is going to be enhanced by the fact that I'm in square.
Right. But I think where if we're looking at this assault thing, what they're looking at is because you're in square, your morale is probably better. And so this is more
Mm,
like a morale check
mm,
if you want to think of it that way.
I see. Yeah.
As
Okay.
opposed to like melee, which is what we're used to with,
Yeah.
bar and la
Right.
bataille. It's really a case
Okay.
um, where where you're making a morale check, and so you either pass or you fail, and you're going to have a better chance of passing if you're in square, just because everyone's more cohesive
Right.
than otherwise.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
While
All right.
while if
So
you were in square in la bataille, after you passed your morale check, then in the melee phase, my
that's
melee
not so good.
would be modified, and I would be
Yeah.
increased by 50% and all that jazz. So,
Right. Right.
yeah. So I don't know who rolls. I guess I'll roll.
Sure. Why?
Yeah, and
Why
with a
not?
+2. So that's going to be a 9 plus 2 is going to be an 11. So you're going to pass. So then I will lose a
One
strength
strength
point,
point. Right.
and
Okay.
that's it. Yeah, I don't move anywhere. You don't move anywhere. We just stay there.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Well, we keep finding surprises here, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this is
Yeah.
why I wanted to take this out and kick the
Heck,
tires, so to speak.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And okay. I mean, it's making more sense than it was. Still think I could maybe get maybe not the Titanic through the holes in the rules anymore, but maybe a tugboat. So there's still some gaps there, but they're getting smaller, so that's good. So all right.
Well, good.
Well, I think we should probably declare victory because it's after 11 now here in Texas.
Yes. Well, and
And
I so much appreciate you taking the time to kind of read through it. I think that with at least this, version 1.4, there are still probably, as you saw, there's some language things that are a little, you know, I, they need to be looked at somebody who speaks, as we said before, wargamer English,
yeah, yeah.
not not just English, not just
Oh yeah,
not just
that's right.
Hochdeutsch or Hoch English, they're
Right.
high English, but wargamer English. But I think for the most part, they've worked out enough of the kinks that it has a flow to it. What I was going to sit down and do is put together like the sequence of play cards, like I did for some of the La Bataille rules,
Oh, okay.
and then say, okay, we have everything that's kind of in a more condensed format. You can just kind of flip through the sequence of play cards,
Right.
um, and kind of that way. Then we don't have to go looking around. But I think the we're coming from games that are incredibly chromy and crunchy, and and instead we are looking to do something that is more, you know, how would you say?
a little
simplified.
rounded
Yeah, yeah,
by
yeah,
comparison. Yeah, a
yeah,
little file off some of the edges.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, we still get the stuff here where we can do some combined arms, right? So I got you to form square.
Oh
Took a
yeah.
shot at you.
Yep.
You form square. I brought some infantry up. So we're kind of get the feel for how we can do it. And it just take a little while to kind of get the feel for it. But I think after kind of messing around with it a little bit, um, could probably kind of figure out the game fairly well here. So
Right. Yeah. Well, this is
cool.
good. This is good. Yeah. It's funny because it doesn't. Well, it seems like it's supposed to be simple, right? But and it is, relatively speaking. But oh my gosh, setting it up, there were so many pieces. I think somehow in my mind, this is my own fault. In
Right.
my mind, I was imagining we are moving up a level organizationally,
Oh,
and
like
so
these
we
were
would have.
regiments instead of
Yeah,
instead of battalions.
exactly. And really, no, we're not. We're at the exact same sort of organizational level we are in Bar and La
Yeah.
Bataille, and and so there's just a bazillion units, and so even though we've been spending some time talking through rules, just this is not going to be a quick game. There's just too many activations, too many turns. I mean, especially the big game, the full battle.
Yeah. I
This
mean,
is
we've
this is going
got
to take a long time to play.
yeah because we've got if you look at it, we've got 22 cubes left in the bag. We
Yeah,
we
so
don't once we get to the
20,
last two, we
right,
don't draw the last two out.
right, but still,
So that's 20 activations.
right,
So that's still a lot of stuff to
yeah.
move. And of
Even
course,
if
we've
we are
only done
moving,
stuff on, I've done double activation on
right,
these two formations. So
yep,
they're probably not going to do a whole lot anymore
no,
with those guys. So then
right,
it's time for me to, go down to another part of the
hmm,
battlefield and start messing around with people. Um, but kind of looking at things, I'm like, uh, I could see myself having more activations than I have people to move.
we saw some of that at Tempe
Yeah,
actually, and I think it's probably one of those things that changes depending on where you are in the kind of the tempo of the battle.
right,
There may be times that you're just desperately hoping for another freaking cube and you can't find one, right?
right.
But I think right now we're kind of like sitting here going, okay, now what? Um, so what I was just going to say is that probably if we weren't stopping and talking about the rules, and if we didn't have to kind of analyze what we were doing so much, I feel like if we were lucky, we'd get through one turn in a couple hours, like we've done.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Because really, some of the activations went by pretty quickly.
yeah. I mean, some of them was just movement, right? And it only
Yeah, just
became, and then it was like, okay, let's force something to happen.
right,
Let's
right.
force an attack here. Let's force a
Yeah,
reaction charge here. Let's do some things to try to provoke something so that we can experiment with something in the rules.
absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
and nothing wrong with that. I'm just thinking to myself that a part of this is just my own kind of expectations
right,
were that this was going to be a higher level and then faster. I mean, yes, the rules were going to be a little simpler, but it was also going to be fewer units, higher level of organization, and therefore less to do. So it was going to move through the battle faster. So I'm just reacting to my expectation not being met.
right.
Because really, there's a lot of game to play here.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, just establishing observations.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Now the
all
only
right.
thing that I noticed with this particular module was it didn't look like a it didn't look like it had the scenarios like already
Oh, preloaded.
preloaded.
Okay, that is too bad.
Yeah. I mean
Because
it shows them, but they're grayed out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they grayed out only because you're already playing one? If you just open the vassal module, would it let you? I bet it's because you're playing one already.
Huh.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
I
not
don't
though.
know when because when I went to it the first time,
Yeah.
it it didn't have the stuff already there, but I can mess
Okay.
around with it again
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah, we
see.
can
But
try it
yeah,
again.
because normally most of the time they have the stuff set. Because what I had to do then, I went and I dragged and dropped the formations onto their starting hexes.
Oh, you're telling me that you did all
I did
that?
that. Yeah.
Oh no. So it looks to me like somebody didn't go through and do what you did.
Yeah, I'm
And
just going to close the game and then I'm going to
okay.
uh, now I'm going to go here to scenarios. Oh, it does have it. Now it's not grayed out anymore.
Uh-huh.
So
See,
now
I
let's
figured
see what it says
once you're
for,
in a game, it's not going to let you do it.
yeah, right. All right, let's go here. So let's see here. If I go down. Huh. No, it doesn't have any units on the map.
Interesting. So that's really a little frustrating, I would say.
Yeah. So it shows the scenario, but then it doesn't actually have any units on the map. So what did it set up then? What is
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Oh, you know what it set up
Just,
is the weather and the turn track.
oh, okay.
So it's got
Does
the
it,
weather and the turn track in the spot for that scenario, but it doesn't
okay.
actually have any
It doesn't
units
actually
on the
put
map.
any units. And does it even like mask off the part of the map that you're allowed to use or?
Okay, so here's what it does do. It's if you go up to the order of battle,
Yeah,
it's got um, the units that are involved are on the order of battle chart.
only those.
Only those. So you still have to
But you
drag them
still
and
end up having
drop
to
them.
drag them out to the. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right. I
So
can live with that.
at least they've been helpful in that regard.
Yeah.
And since everything for the most part starts where it is, yeah. So it's the same thing here for the Russians. So it doesn't actually put them on the map for you.
Okay. But
Um,
at least it makes it relatively painless to set them up.
yeah. Here, let's see.
Okay.
William's got a few more observations. He says here, while the map area seems to be similar in both games, I wonder if the orientation of the hexes has an effect on play. I don't have winner's victory, so I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I think we kind of were speaking to that earlier when
yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about the different systems
yeah.
um, in
Let's see.
their
He also says the recommended playing time for the New England simulation version is 12 hours for specific scenarios and 56 hours for the entire campaign. How does the
interesting.
SOD version compare?
So
I'm
how many
thinking I'm thinking New England simulation is probably off by a factor of by at least twice is
y-
probably twice as much.
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
having
I watched
literally
those games at Tempe,
right.
and they spent an entire week, and things had only moved, you know, a fraction.
Right.
So the idea that you could get through the big battle in only 56 hours,
I question that.
yeah, I'm not quite sure about that.
By the way, did
This,
you know Albert's apparently going to be playing in a winner's victory game here coming up soon?
oh, really? Okay.
He invited me to join, and I was like, okay, maybe,
Yeah,
because that's a big leap into a deep pool, right? But let's go back and say that if we thought we could get through a turn in 2 hours here, then that's still 24 hours even in this game.
yeah.
So that's no small number, right?
Nope.
Um, And yet I'm inclined to agree with you, just knowing what I do know about Winter's Victory, that probably 56 seems optimistic.
Yeah, yeah. I I
So,
I think so.
but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I'd
So,
be interested to hear your feedback on it. I mean, it's a lovely game,
oh, sure. Yeah.
um,
But
and
it's a lot of work to learn one set of rules for one game. Is that really a good idea? Probably not.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't get it. It's just like
Yep.
I've got so Sound of Drums has got another game system that they're coming out with, which is a little bit more, I would say, probably regimental scale,
Was that the
or
Battle
maybe
Commander?
brigade. Yeah, that's a battle commander.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be Uwe. I talked with Uwe. He's going to try to have me do an interview with Carl, um,
Oh, okay.
and so I'll have a chance to find out a little bit more about how that system works, because they're doing their Kickstarter for that right now. So I've already ordered the game, so I
Okay.
will have a chance to talk to the designer hopefully, and
Good.
so I've got that, and then the guys from Against the Odds magazine finally are going to be coming out with the
Oh,
Battle of
yeah.
Combe. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
probably interviewing Limbit,
Okay.
probably in a week and a half or so, when he gets
Okay.
back from some travel, and talk about that. So I've already ordered that game, and so I'm like, okay, I don't need I don't need any more
Another
games. I've got
another
enough.
Napoleonic
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Yeah. No, no, I'm with you.
Well, and
I'm
then the other
totally
thing
with
is
you.
that remember the fixed bayonet game that we played.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Of what?
that fella is
Of
coming
where?
out with he's going to be publishing in like a mass publication his Albuera game,
Right. Rather than the
rather
print to
than the
order.
little print and play kind of thing that he was
Yep.
doing there with Game Crafter. So apparently he
Right.
must have sold enough, or he's got enough interest where he
Yeah.
figures he can sell that. So he's doing a, I think he's either started or he's going to be starting a Kickstarter for that.
Okay.
So he's sending me an updated version of that. Um, and what will be nice is that newer set will be a heck of a lot less expensive than his original one.
Oh, I'll
So
bet.
because he's getting it
Yeah.
mass produced, I mean, I think I
Exactly.
spent $140 on that game.
Yes. It was not cheap.
And yeah, and so now it's going to sell for like $60, which is,
And
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 the map
maybe
is
a
going to be
lot
better.
better. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
I
thing.
told them
Because
like when I saw the pictures on Facebook, I'm like, oh, the map looks a hell of a lot better. Can I just get the map? And he's like,
right.
he changed. I think he changed the scale, or he changed something a little bit. He's like,
Oh.
I don't have that, but but he's going to send me a copy of it, and then I'm going to try to do an interview with him, and
Oh,
because
that'd be great.
yeah, because I really enjoyed the game. You and I had a ball playing it,
Yeah.
even though we didn't get that far into the battle itself. But it was a
Right.
fun game system, and I think we had a good time kind of exploring it and working with it and
Yeah.
everything else. There
Absolutely.
were a lot of things that I liked about it. So that's something that is coming up. But I mean, I'm just like, I don't need any more games.
Exactly.
I've got
You got
enough,
plenty.
and
And then play a couple of times a week,
yeah, 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 yeah,
online, and then anything you're doing in person. So yeah, I get it.
yeah. So you guys take some pictures and post some stuff to what is it? Cardboard Crosshairs on the Facebook page, so
Oh,
we can see what things
okay.
look like there. That's the best
Yeah.
place to post stuff.
Yeah, I
And
got to figure out where we're doing that. So
well, are you doing it over at John's house or at Albert's house?
I literally no, I don't think John's participating
Oh,
in it.
okay.
And I'm not honestly. It may be online. I honestly don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
all I know is that Albert mentioned it the last time we were over um, at Prague,
Okay. How
and
is Prague going for you?
Prague is moving along. We have had the usual sort of hilarity that happens when cavalry battles start. That was the thing that really was keeping us going, is the fact that we knew that the battle was going to be decided by the cavalry battle over on the Austrian right, the Prussian left, and John had brought up lots of additional cavalry that we didn't have in our game that you and
Okay.
I played. Because basically he took most of his left flank cavalry and moved it over as well. So he's got a lot of cavalry over there, and he did some charging because he just thought, wait a minute, it makes no sense for me to let you charge me because your guys are already better and you got a better charge
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
So I'm going to charge you instead. And I'm like, okay, fine, go ahead. And I would say in the main, I'm getting the better of it. But again, as is the nature of cavalry combat in Bar, yeah, I had one that failed spectacularly. And not only failed spectacularly, but then he got a special result on his pursuit.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so he had to pursue me.
Right.
So he ends up pursuing basically right up to where he's like surrounded on three sides by my cavalry.
Oh my gosh.
So of course that guy gets jumped and
Right.
pounded on immediately.
Yeah.
So I mean the bad news is those units of mine got ground up pretty bad.
Right.
The good news though is I got a free shot basically at his um, disordered, maybe even shaken and disordered. Anyway, we just ran them over.
Right.
So having some fun with that, and then I think probably the other big highlight is that John's left flank is finally released. It's the one
Okay.
o'clock hour. So now he can do stuff with the left flank. And in the meantime, Albert has brought on the last of the Prussian troops over there. So
Right.
there's a whole new front that's about to open up because Albert didn't want to get any closer for fear of releasing those guys early.
Right.
But now it's 1 o'clock. There's no reason to wait. So he's just going to go ahead and advance. And then that's going to be just kind of another wrinkle of all of this. So it's
Interesting.
it's good. We haven't made a lot of progress. We haven't played very much, but the cavalry battle is developing nicely, and so we're having a good time with that.
Cool. All right. Well, Michael,
All
be
right.
well. I will hopefully see you next Sunday for Zorndorf, and we'll see
Yep.
how
Yep.
all that goes. And let's see, William Arend's last comment is, let's see, Colm is coming out in the Turning Point Simulation box games from Against the Odds. He says, I usually stick to the magazine games, which are cheaper to ship to Canada. Yeah, I can imagine that. Shipping is
Oh,
pretty
right.
brutal for everybody.
That's awful.
Oh yeah, and Mark said, then he says here, it was sad to hear about the death of Mark Ruggiero. He
Indeed.
did
Yes.
stay in the hobby and kept his interest in life right to the end. Yes, yeah, that's very true. I was very sad to hear about that because he passed yesterday morning. So,
Indeed.
yeah, but had a chance to at least post some things and communicate with him a little bit there the week before. So he will definitely be missed,
Indeed.
and we've got to pour out a beer or something like that for him there. So, all right. Well, for everybody who was watching, thank you for your patience and thank you for your understanding and in being a little bit late. But hopefully, this was entertaining and enjoyable and educational for everybody. So,
Indeed.
until our next episode, everybody, be well.